this song finally end? Deep in the internet wilds, there is a streamer with shitty takes, with jokes so bad, they're almost a crime, yet people tune in every single time. Marvel Strike Force, Raid and the like, watching him is similar to a hike. Annoying and stressful, exhausting and long, I say keep watching, but please be strong. And it goes on and on and on, but there's this one thing we gotta say. Fuck you, Bones, every hour on the hour, we sing with all our hearts. Fuck you, Bones, give in to the power, it is the love that imparts the good, the bad, and the bones. A trio of unsavory people sitting in a pub, 3 SWGoH geniuses in a place that serves beer, or 3 people with malicious intent in an establishment used for having a drink. What a silly name! Less than 3, I go pee, exactly 3, that's for me. More than 3, hey, why is ignorance here? No one knows! And it goes on and on and on, but there's this one thing we gotta say. Fuck you, Bones, every hour on the hour, we sing with all our hearts. Fuck you, Bones, give in to the power, it is the love that imparts the good. These 3 people in this pub can't listen to him for hours. Bad takes he had to endure. His takes are beautiful flowers in a deep sea full of poo. He said fuck, bit and nasty once, but in a respectful way. Got bullied by a baroness once, so I guess that is okay. And it goes on and on and on, but there's this one thing we gotta say. Fuck you, Bones, every hour on the hour, we sing with all our hearts. Fuck you, Bones, give in to the power, it is the love that imparts. He's way cooler than Captain Amazing, said he himself. And we're still waiting for that list. You surely must have missed of all the stupid shit that happened in the Acolyte. He streams on Twitch, does the Hutts Hangout, 3 scoundrels in a cantina. How does he find the time for that? But there are questions left unanswered. Why doesn't he have bad batch? What does the 88 stand for? Why does a grown-up man wear a base cap? But C-Squared told him he had a brain. Takes this compliment with him forever. Bones, every hour on the hour, we sing with all our hearts. Fuck you, Bones, give in to the power, it is the love that imparts. When will this song finally end? In the internet wilds, there is a streamer with shitty takes, with jokes so bad, they're almost a crime, yet people tune in every single time. Marvel Strike Force, Raid and the like, watching him is similar to a hike. Annoying and stressful, exhausting and long, I say keep watching, but please be strong. And it goes on and on and on, but there's this one thing we gotta...
Welcome to the Hutts Hangout. Grab your blasters and blue milk because we're about to deep dive into the game where Hutts rule and 3 scoundrels drill. On this episode, Wombat has changed. He's got a lot shorter beard and a funny hat on this time. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Tassanex. How are you?
Great to be here, man. Good to be back.
I
Is
guess
it just
we
going to be you and me today, or is anybody else joining us?
just us. Womp
Mm.
on non-GAC weekends, he does, personal, has the weekend off, goes and does stuff with family and things like
He
that. So
betrays us and does other non-slugger things.
yeah, I mean, if you happen to watch any of Scribe's stream last night, you'll realize that Wombrat's probably going to feel a bit hungover this morning. He drank quite a
Fair.
lot of alcohol, but
I heard that was the plan. He was telling me earlier in the day that was the plan, but I was at a baseball game through most of what was that stream.
yeah,
So I'll catch the bot.
yeah. I don't. There was just a lot of just general talking. Like some of they went way off field. Like yeah, it was some hectic sort of conversations, but um, yeah, I was
Hmm.
yeah. Um, how are you?
Yeah, man, I'm awake. Sore. Yesterday was I work out with a friend. And yeah, so today's the day after. So today's little sore, tomorrow's big sore. So
Yeah,
otherwise, gonna be a good weekend.
yeah. That was
A little bored without without GAC, but it is what it is.
yeah. I can, can imagine. Um, I have gone from doing grounds work, like grounds keeping sort of stuff, through to office
Mm.
job. So sort of promoted, but I mean that was like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Probably since I've been in the office job.
Hmm.
So this week I've been back in the office role, but the 2 weeks before I was out doing grounds work with a couple of guys trying to do, preparation for spring summer, and my body, I guess, even like Wednesday this week, I was still like aching in places that I'm like, oh yeah, I do have like a muscle there. You just
Hmm.
yeah. So
I actually uttered the phrase yesterday while I was working on some machine. I don't think I felt this muscle since high school.
yeah. I can relate, and it seems so bad that like your body's just like not, yeah, I don't know, it's just
Not
so weird.
properly maintained in my case. I just don't work out enough. That's my issue. I have
Yeah,
no excuse.
okay, fair enough. You said baseball game today, like a
No, that was last night.
last night.
Not major league. There's a minor league like regional baseball system, and they have like their own stadiums and everything. It's not as big as like an MLB stadium, but tickets are cheap. It's less than 20 minutes drive away. It's easy to get in and out of. The prices are not outrageous, and it's just a clean, beautiful facility. um you don't see any fights, nothing like that in the stands. Like, just good place to bring the kids,
Yeah,
and just a convenient, reasonably priced thing, especially for somebody like me who doesn't really care about baseball. Like, I went because the tickets were free and the seats were excellent.
yeah,
So,
right. I actually find like when I've got season tickets for our local rugby league team, but I find when we're not at our stadium that can hold like 50,000 people, when we go to
mhm.
like the trial games and stuff like that, where you just like it's a football club, but it's like a feeder club for a feeder club for a feeder club, and they've just turned up there to have the game, you know, to bring the crowd and the stuff. I enjoy those sort of fields and atmosphere as opposed to the, you know, 50 odd thousand people, all trying to get out at the same time. I just
Mhm.
love the game, but getting there and getting home is it's not fun. It takes
Yeah,
like 3 hours to get home when it should be like 40 minutes. Yeah. Uh,
fair,
I
fair.
get you. Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know what Sop was on about in chat. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, the British football chance will never be beaten, says Steve. I really wouldn't know. I don't get deep into, you know, proper football. I'm not into sports generally. Not generally.
Okay.
I'll go to see live games. Like I enjoy watching hockey.
Oh
I
yeah.
really like hockey.
Like field hockey or ice hockey?
Ice hockey.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Um, so I'm from the Metro Detroit area in Michigan, and so our team's the Red Wings. Red Wings. I mean, when I was a kid, were just like back to back to back Stanley Cup winners. Like they were
Right.
just crushing it. And yeah, hopefully better days come
Okay.
soon. But yeah,
Actually, the guy who I was doing that couple of weeks work with, he's
Mhm.
mad into hockey, and apparently it's starting soon. Is it?
Okay.
I don't know. Hockey
I think
season?
so.
Like September or something?
Yeah, that comes later. That
Okay.
comes later.
Yeah. So he was telling me he's basically spent like the last couple of weeks catching up on all the old goalkeeper fights where they come from both ends and just meet in the middle and just start punching on. He just
Yeah.
sits there with like a beer and will just sit and watch like hours and hours of like the best goalkeeper fights. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm sure like it's probably sort of seems a bit odd for me, but he's like really into it. So yeah. Yeah.
Fair.
Womprat, just like he's sitting in the chat. He just needs
Mhm.
to
You thought he was going to be hungover. He
probably
probably hasn't been
drinking.
asleep yet.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah,
keep going.
that's right.
Yeah,
Right. Bloody Mary time.
yeah. All right. So congratulations in order as well. For reaching quite a milestone at the end of GAC. Number one GAC player in the world for SWGoH. How does it feel?
Yeah, well, it feels pretty cool to see my name up there at the end of the season. It is kind of a technicality, though, that the game doesn't update based on the last round. So in that final round of the season, I actually lost. And so Herbert is the one who won the season.
Yeah.
But as far as calculating the end of season rewards, your prize box, it's based on what your rank was going into that third round, not a
Okay.
result of the third round.
Yeah.
So I got my rank one box screenshot. That is something I haven't earned before. All right. I have beaten the guy who was at number one before in a different season. So I've got both achievements
Yeah.
separately, but not together. And that would be something cool to get in the future. And I'm going to do my best to stay up there. But yes, getting that screenshot was something I've been after a long time,
Yeah.
saying that. And for the record, I did reach out to Meathead to say, hey, I know that the Premier Kyber Champion title got retired at the end of the old GAC system. But is there any kind of way? And he was like, no.
Oh,
And I was like,
really?
the answer was definitely going to be no unless I asked. So
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah. Yeah. It's always going to be no unless you ask, and then
Mhm.
yeah, you never know.
That's right.
But that's still pretty cool.
It is.
Like yeah, it's unfathomable for me. I'm sitting, like bottom of Kyber 1, top of Kyber 2. There's how many thousands of players in front of me before I even get into like that realm of top
Mhm.
100 even. And I remember actually like we'd always be like Tassanex, it was always top 15 or something. And now it's like, yeah, for the next week-ish, you're, there's nobody
Another
higher.
few days, it says that up there.
Yeah.
I think the new brackets will update, and I want to say when everything gets rejuggled, I'm thinking I'm going to be in the top 4.
That's
We'll
still
see how it
nice.
ends up going.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly within the top bracket, that's where you want to be if you're, trying to get rank 1. So that'll
Yeah.
do. That will do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody mentioned breakfast in chat. So I told Mrs. T that I was streaming this, going to be on this podcast this morning. She knew when I was doing this, and nevertheless decided to come on in here and furnish me with this beautiful plate of breakfast.
Oh, nice.
So I will answer questions in between bites and everything and participate, but I'm definitely not going to let this just go stone cold.
Oh, we'll go into Brutus first if you want, and I'll just sit reading the kit, and you can sit
Mhm.
eating.
And I can just emote while
Yes.
chewing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And I mean, most of the stuff before that, anyway, is more like heads up for everybody more than anything. So, um, yeah. So we start off with a bit of news during the week. So we had another community milestone for Conquest Energy. So this time around, it's actually 50 million Conquest Energy higher than the last one, and I don't think we even got close to the last one. Like, yeah. Um,
I love the conquest energy I got. I mean, my datacrons are going to be kicking for week 1.
yeah,
I usually have in many seasons. I generally avoid spending money in most seasons of the past. I avoid spending money on datacrons, um, just because they expire.
yeah,
One day I'll have to answer to God for how much money I've spent on pixels. At least I didn't spend money on the pixels that expire every like 4 months,
yeah,
type of thing. But the value proposition of that 600 energy every day is just crazy. It's
yeah.
just crazy. Um, and yeah, sorry, but yeah, that's
No,
if you haven't
I
ever
agree.
considered picking that up before, and you're in a part of the game where your opponents are really heavily engaged with datacrons, don't go in underarmed if you're any type of spender on the game, because that is very reasonably priced for what that is.
Yeah,
That calendar.
I think so. I'm sitting. We've already detoured, but this is absolutely fine. I think I've got Rolo and Darth Vader is the other
Yeah.
level
Okay.
15. Yep, I've got both
Okay.
of them to
Good
15.
ones.
Wampa's at 7 out of the 9. And
Mhm.
Swordy, I think, is like 5 out of 9. So I've like really gone crazy into
Yeah.
those
The
to
sortie
get
one
them.
is the weakest of them, I think. I think maybe that's going to be a dominant team in the mid game, maybe in the top end of the game for 3 versus 3. Somebody can find something really painful to do with it, but
Wasn't it
yeah,
like
that
really high
Wampa.
crit avoidance or something though?
Yeah, but the set's already got crit avoidance on it. Mhm.
Yeah,
It's the worst of the 4. Not to say that it's bad,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But that Wampacron, man, that one I'm gonna be probably favoring with Bane.
Okay, all right. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So I agree with you.
yeah. Asher in the chat says I normally go hard for Datacrons, but this set just feels lackluster. It does compared to some of the others. It is a bit more muted. But you still got defense from the previous set to make things feel really powerful. And honestly, there should be kind of an ebb and a flow to the power of certain characters and the way I don't know. I like that if this set feels weak, then it's gonna let your relics and your mods shine more then. And
Okay.
that doesn't bother me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I Yeah. I guess because we've come from like when you think like the Boba Fett and Fennec one and Sidious went as well, didn't it? I think Sidious was in the
Yeah.
yeah. So like when
Yep.
you sort of think about those where we've undermanned teams pretty reliably, I guess it's now looking a bit yeah. But I guess that's sort of like you're anchoring onto that sort of last lot of Datacrons. Really, there are some nice ones in this one that can pick and slightly improved teams, and like the Rolo one, you know, boosting up the rebels and that sort of stuff. So yeah, nothing too crazy, I don't think. Um, yeah. So that's the community milestone stuff. I guess my biggest thing is the chance of us getting to Maz is pretty unlikely, but we're getting free rewards, uh, regardless, right? I can't really complain about that. Uh, and I had a quick look before we come on. So the last update, which I'm guessing would have been 14 hours ago, it looks like. So we've passed 160 million and we're 75% of the way to 320 million. So at the moment, we've got 20 Malachos shards at the moment, which, not too bad. We do need to get to like 480 mil before we start getting the Datacron materials and that, though. So, yeah. But 800 million, that's a lot of energy. Yeah, but we'll see how we go. All right, so there was a inquiry / fix for phone performances, and they were sort of more focused on the older Android 7 and like older Samsung phones. So they did a bit of a check on that, and then they've also given us a fix. So if anybody's still having problems, I guess you should probably go and follow up on that sort of thread of backwards and forwards, I guess. So the pirate error battle, we had, like all sorts of, whether it be at one point there, I was able to do 2 battles because I had Relic 5 level. I was able to do the Relic 5 stuff before I did the battle, the tier before. Like Smee, I don't think is supposed to be in there. The tier 3 battle, which was had Kylo Ren at the end. He was just basically unkillable. Yeah, a lot of issues with that one, which I think from looking at this last, because it's come through the second time, obviously, it looks like it's a lot better. No issues at my level, at least. I don't know how far up are you, Tass? Have you got them? You're doing Relic 9 level?
Relic 9 for who?
The pirate error battle.
I mean, I am taking up all the pirates to level 9, Relic 9, for the purpose of the era battle. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't really care about the raid because I'm already able to hit max
Yep.
max personal box in the raid.
So have you done the error battles? Did you have any issues higher up? Because I can only do Relic 5 tier, I think, at the moment.
Funny you should say that. So I guess the early word on that first run was that the highest you can get through was tier 6. And the only folks that had been successful were doing it with like Quiggled. No, sorry, not Quiggled. Ithano, SM33, and Kix, and they would all have to be Relic 9.
Okay.
I did a Conquest or a TB and chill stream the other day where I put in a whole bunch of attempts on doing that with Ithano, Quiggled, and SM33. And basically, I just kept doing it throughout the stream, couldn't get it done. And then about 15 minutes after the stream ended, I actually got great RNG and managed to stumble my way through. But
Did
it
you get
took
on
such
video?
a long time. What's that?
Did you get it on video for like to post later or anything?
I posted this screenshot in my
Oh, yeah.
announcement channel on my Discord showing that I did it, and I showed the way I had those 3 characters modded at the time.
Yeah.
So if you don't have kicks at Relic 9, yeah. But I was just short. I was 5 droid brains short of having kicks Relic 9 for that event. So I got my 5 from completing it there. Now I made kicks Relic 9. Now I have all 4 characters, and I was able to do it on auto.
Yeah. Okay.
So, on this second run.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
Oh dear. And like I guess that's a good thing about the error battles, right? That you are getting a lot of the materials back that you're putting into it. So yeah. But it's good to know that at least if people are going up to that level, like they're able to actually finish it. Because I know like with the Dark Side clones and that, it was obviously really difficult. And we kind of were expecting the same sort of thing, right? Like we didn't really think we'd be able to finish it until we had a few more pirates. But well, I guess this is all of them, isn't it? For this era battle, because Brutus and them and the next what? Like the next grouping?
I don't know. I don't bother following that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't bother following the calendar for what's coming out. It's coming. I've got to get it, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Yep.
that's how it is.
All right. So, you got any other overarching thoughts about the pirate battle, the era battles? Pirate era battle?
I am just a big fan of era battles. I know that they're going to be coming back a lot while their era is alive, and then after that, only on occasion. And that makes sense when you're looking at it in the long term, because gosh, there's actually going to be quite a few of these era battles, right? So, okay.
Yeah.
It's also having a big impact on the value of TW, I think, because you're going for that W for the 5 brains, but now you're going to have an extra 5. What in the long run, a week, something like that. Depends on how many air battles are around, stuff like that. What's up, sweetness? What do you want? My daughter has come to get my.
You're right.
Yeah, but
So Wombrat's saying that this is the era battle until Hondo the GL is out. So the more pirates we get, the easier it'll be, I guess, down the track. And Asher has also asked, did you make a Datacron list, like a farming list thing?
I have an Excel document in progress for that, and I
Okay.
keep getting interrupted in real life.
Okay.
And that's the problem with making the mod guide videos and all of the extra content that isn't just Grand Arena.
Yeah.
Is every time I sit down and get ready to do quality control for it and like line up what do I want to do and how do I want to get that done and what does it need to look like? Yeah. Everything else intervenes.
Yeah.
You could not have eaten that more messily. Come here.
Kids. We had spaghetti bolognese for dinner, and probably 3/4 of the way through the bowl, my youngest daughter decided that a fork was no longer required and just started eating them one by one with her fingers. Yeah, it was interesting. Very, very messy, but she ate it all, so I can't complain, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, all right. So other little updates. So Temple Guard is now farmable in Fleet 3B hard. Enoch is accelerated. God, it's like doesn't feel like it's been a year, right? For Enoch.
Yeah, time flies.
Because that's like the start of like Ahsoka and Balin and that. And they don't feel that long ago. Yeah, all right. So then Brutus.
Yeah.
This will be fun. Let's bring it up. All right. So you're happy for me just to read through and you just randomly jump in as you feel?
Sure. Yeah.
Sort of what
This gets
Wombrat
pretty
does.
straightforward, but yeah. Have at it.
All right, so Brutus, Dark Side, he's an attacker, pirate, scoundrel, Order 66. So key attributes, so he's an attacker who works well with Dark Side pirate leaders. He'll synergize well with Hondo. Committed mutiny against Captain Silvo, which is in the what's it called? Skeleton Crew show. A few strategy tips there. So frequently asked questions. So Brutus will be out Tuesday the 12th, 11 a.m. Pacific. He is required at Relic 7 for Hondo. So there was a little side note here for Blazing Barrage. The breach check occurs before the damage is dealt, so Brutus cannot apply breach and speed down in the same turn. Scatter Storm deals exactly 1 true damage to the ally leader, just enough to trigger Mutineer without causing significant friendly damage. Alright, so Blazing Barrage. So final text is deal physical damage to the enemy twice and inflict breach for 2 turns, which can't be resisted. During Brutus's turn, if the target enemy is already breached, they gain speed up for 2 turns, and Brutus gains 1 stack of profit. Reasonably straightforward, right? Alright, so this is, what's it called? Scatter Shot Storm. So deal physical damage to all enemies, deal 1 true damage to the ally in the leader slot. This damage can't defeat allies. Brutus gains offense up for 2 turns. If the ally in the leader slot is Pirate King Hondo, all allies gain offense up for 2 turns instead, which can't be dispelled or prevented. Pretty straightforward again. What was this one? Threatening Manner. Inflict accuracy down and critical chance down on all enemies for 3 turns. If the ally in the leader slot is Hondo, breached enemies are also feared for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled or prevented. If Brutus has advantage defense, penetration up, offense up, potency up, or speed up, dispel those buffs and Brutus gains 30% turn meter, then steals those buffs from all enemies, reset their durations, and grant them to all pirate allies. If the ally in the leader slot is Pirate King Hondo, immediately dispel all buffs granted to all allies with this ability and replace them with versions that can't be dispelled or prevented. If no buffs were stolen, Brutus gains 5 stacks of ferocity for 3 turns instead. If Brutus steals at least 2 unique buffs from the enemy team, he gains a bonus turn and 2 stacks of profit. This ability can't be evaded or resisted. Alright, so this is probably something to talk about. Thoughts on it?
Really powerful with Hondo. Kind of without Hondo.
Yeah. So Wompat mentioned breach and feared together. What happens?
Well, it's the breach that sets up the fear, right? And I'm not really sure where we're getting a lot of breach yet on this
Okay.
team. So
But
I
there's
think
something.
that is yet to be shown, but you can see what the intent is. Under Hondo, you're getting another AoE fear, like a Darth Revan insanity, almost.
Okay. So breached is what? Slows them
It's
down
like
by 25%
minus
or something?
25% speed, I want to say.
Yeah. A little bit lower defense or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then feared they can't take the next turn.
Right.
So, because Wombat just said, imagine breached and fear together, and then I never really looked back at it.
Yeah.
And as I read, I'm like, now I understand what he was referencing. But
yeah, well, but then that makes you think that
okay,
breach and fear go out together, and breach is the precondition for the fear, right?
So he's saying it's going to lock down teams really nicely and going to also mean it could destroy I think he means them. But yeah. The defense, penetration up, offense up, potency up, speed up, and advantage and all those. Was that one of the last pirates that steals all those in particular or something?
What you'll notice is that each of the pirates has the ability to steal certain buffs. And if they are able to, they're generally able to share them out to the entire team with the duration refreshed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who steals each one of these. I think Athano steals a lot of the offensive buffs. I don't recall speed up being part of anybody's gig right now, but I could be mistaken. The idea here is that certainly when we have the full intended team, the potential for any and all of these buffs to exist on him from any of his allies is pretty decent.
Yeah.
We can expect to see that.
Yeah. Okay. And then obviously when he's under Hondo, they become undispellable, which is pretty nuts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to appreciate the full kit of the team. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll
Yeah.
just be eagerly waiting.
Yeah. All right. So this is unique, which has got an Omicron as well. So final text: whenever a dark side pirate ally is in the leader slot takes damage, Brutus gains 5% defense, penetration, stacking for the rest of the battle. If the ally in the leader slot is Hondo, whenever Hondo takes damage, all pirate allies gain 1 stack of profit. If Hondo or Maz is in the leader slot, the cap for profit is removed for Brutus. If the ally in the leader slot is a non-dark side galactic legend pirate, Brutus gains 5 stacks of profit at the start of the battle and 100% defense to the end of the battle. If the ally in the leader slot is Captain Silvo, whenever Captain Silvo takes damage, he loses 1 stack of profit, and Brutus gains 1 stack of profit. Brutus gains 30 speed at the start of the battle. While Brutus has at least 4 stacks of profit at the start of his turn, he gains 10% offense stacking for each stack of profit he has, with a maximum of 200% until the end of his turn. The first time a Darkside ally pirate in the leader slot is defeated, Brutus assists himself twice the next time he uses an ability on his turn. Whenever speed up expires on an enemy, they are inflicted with 1 stack of bleed for the rest of the battle, doubled if they're in the enemy leader slot. So, before we go into the Omicron, he assists twice on his next turn. Is that like going back to the fact that he'll do breach the first time and then the second time around he'll get the speed up? Is that what they're sort of trying to say? Oh, you're muted.
No, it's just saying that the first time a dark side pirate ally in the leader slot is defeated, Brutus is going to do 2 basics following the next ability that he does, whichever ability that is.
Yeah.
So it's not resetting your cooldowns or anything like that. It's not giving you a 100% turn meter. It's just saying after the leader dies, his next turn, whatever he does, he's going to assist himself twice after that.
Yeah. But that would then trigger the speed up. Because the first assist would be the breach, then the next one would be the speed up? Or is that what they're saying that they won't?
Let's go back to the basic.
So blazing barrel. Oh no, so it's not. It is that
Breach check. What does that say about the breach check? Actually,
so the breach check occurs before damage dealt. So the first time he assists, he'll do the breach. Then when he comes and hits again, because it's a different attack, right? He'd then get the speed up.
There it is. Yeah, he gains speed up from. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that. Yes, that's right. So yes, and if you scroll back up to that developer note.
Oh, yep.
The breach check occurs before the damage is dealt. Brutus cannot apply breach and speed down in the same turn. So very clear. Good to know.
Right. All right. So the Territory Wars Omicron. Whenever a Darkside pirate ally in the leader slot takes damage, Brutus gains 5% additional defense penetration stacking for the rest of the battle and retribution for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled or prevented. If the ally in the leader slot is Hondo, reduce Brutus's cooldowns by 1 whenever Brutus attacks out of turn. Whenever Brutus uses a special ability he has at least 15 stacks of profit, he assists dealing 50% less damage. Whenever another pirate ally uses a special ability and Brutus has at least 20 stacks of profit, he assists dealing 50% less damage. Okay. Cool. Thoughts? Overall? Not a lot we can say, right? Because it's not.
I also don't really care much about TW Omicrons. I apply them because I'm expected to.
Yep.
And I usually try to not remember what they are because what I've done in the past is I'll confuse parts of the TW Omicron for part of the base unique that I would be able to access. So I'm going in to the fight like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I got this because this mechanic's going to be there. And then it's not there. It's like,
Yeah.
good,
You've annoyed
good.
Steve, who's our TW officer.
Hmm.
Hardcore into TW. Yes. Yeah, like that's what I until we get the whole team right, or even like the kit for Hondo, like then maybe I'd start to go, oh yeah, well that part, and start to bring something together, right? But yeah, it is. I have found it interesting that they have included Maz in a couple of the like the if Maz is in the leader slot, it'll do this, but Hondo will do that. Which yeah, interesting for the people who don't get Hondo straight away, I guess, or newer
Yeah.
players maybe.
And the vision isn't the vision to have two full pirate teams at the end of all of this.
Apparently, yeah.
So So yeah, I do like that there will be some that are kind of carved out to go with either Maz or with Hondo. And then I like that there is kind of a shared pool where you're thinking about how you really want to divide them up. Not a bad idea as far as team design goes, but we'll have to see. Um,
Hmm.
they they keep adding new teams that I don't think are changing the game enough. Um, like what really changed for you? Do you have the full Jedi Master Mace team?
Yeah, yeah.
What's really changed for you with that? Like for some people, that's as far as Grand Arena goes for me last season, that became my soak for Saw. I use Saw to knock that down. You could use JML now that the Sawcron's gone, or maybe I don't think the Sawcron will work, or I don't think Saw will work as well on offense without it. But I don't know. I could try. Anyway, like
Well,
JML, I know a lot of people were doing it with Malgus taking out that team, but it's like, yeah, okay, so I needed another team to take out with you wanted to create a new strategic fork for my JML or Malgus?
I'm trying to think. I did face it on. Someone did put it down on defense in this last. Might have been the last week of GAC, and I think I just used JML, but I'm gonna have to like. I don't take notes or or I just like pure gut feeling that I faced it, but I would have to figure out when I faced it. But on because I just stuck mine straight on defense, like it's just sat on defense, and I have not.
Yeah.
I've played with it in the raid. Well, three of them, but yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
um, yeah. I don't know. It definitely didn't change a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like it depends on how the team is. Like you asked me, so many others have asked, like, how do I feel about this new team? It's a team. I don't. Mm. We don't have the full scope of what it looks like, and then when we see it on paper, it might look like something, and then end up being something else. Like for example, Jedi Master Mace on paper, I thought was really gonna be doing some big stuff. So far, maybe it's underutilized. I don't know, but I don't need more good teams on attack, right? That's kind of the issue. So every time they're adding a new team, your temptation is to put it on defense to see how it does. So then you're like, so this can't really be part of my defensive mix if I'm really trying to jam somebody up or trying to design a fork around things like JML and Malgus doesn't really sound good. So, hmm. But yeah, Womprat said in chat, we do have the 2% damage on debuffs for light side from the new Datacron set. So Saw has a cron that should work. Maybe.
Yep.
I would like that to be the case. And no, MJ, is Mike Java and Tass Bib or vice versa? I guess between the two of us, it looks like I'd have to be the Java. But
I don't know. I don't know. I got a bit of since the office job. I've got a bit of a gut. So Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I found it.
It's
I
part of the lifestyle.
I found week 2, round 1, and I beat. It was Jenna Master, Mace Windu, Jocasta, Deppa, Barris, and Temple Guard with a Barris Cron, and I 65 banners with JML and a Temple
Yeah,
Guard Cron.
makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only time I've faced it, and I mean, I'd have to sit and look and see what, because sometimes people wouldn't even get through to that wall because I had it on the back wall. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'd have to sit there and figure out what people have beaten it with on at my sort of level. But Amalgus was one of them. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
sidetracking.
Malgus could work. I had a lot of opponents that were doing Malgus. I wasn't trying to do all that.
Well, it was 61 banners on one of them.
Mm-hmm. I
So
believe it.
yeah, I mean, a win's a win at my sort of level, but 61's not good enough for you.
Win's a win, man. Look, man. I would much rather take a 61 than a drop. Because
Okay.
any one of these efficiency fights where you're seeing, a match decided by less than 20 banners, less than one drop worth of banners. Yeah, 61s all day. Print me those.
Okay.
If I had to take them, like, of course, yes, we're all going. I've got a lot of opponents that are going for mostly 65 with a few 64s. So to your point, I can't have a board full of them. But again, for any of those teams, the few teams that I might actually drop on, 61 all day. Take it. No problem.
Okay. It's just okay. I would have expected like, nah, it needs to be like, we were aiming for making sure everybody's back full protection, like at the end of the battle, so that we're getting maximum banners and yeah.
Well, if you can, sure. It's not that I'm trying to deliberately go out. Like I'm saying, for any of the few really challenging teams on somebody's defense where you might actually drop,
Yeah.
the point
Okay.
where you're having a smile on your face taking a 61 is knowing that you were very shortly away from having a lot worse.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So it's not like we're shooting for 61. It's like I got out of there for a 61. Thank God.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess this sort of rolls into why I sort of asked you to come on anyway. So recently, I would definitely not blame. I would, yeah, let's say blame you and Womprat for getting me into to scouting, right? So there's a lot of negative sort of when you mention the word scouting, right? It's like, you're trying too hard, or like, why, it's a game, why are you doing that sort of thing, right? I was never that way, but I was never interested in it, right? If you want to do it, you do it, right? If you don't, you don't. I don't care. Like, it's not my thing, but I've now gotten into it.
Mhm.
And my level obviously is like, let's even say like 5% of what you would do. Womprat is probably still a lot, like way, way higher, and he's sort of showing me stuff, right, as we're going through. So what I was sort of wanting to have a chat with you about is give us a 101 on scouting, right? So I've got a lot of questions, right? You've seen a lot of them, and I'm sure we'll have others as we come up. Basically, so sell scouting to people who are like me, who are not really against it, but not for it. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, in short, it's just intelligence. Think about any game, any competitive endeavor at all in which it's not an advantage to have an inside track on what your opponent likes to do, where they're strong, where they're weak, how they like to manage their resources. Um, the bottom line is the biggest reason to not scout is you don't want to spend the time. And that's fair. Grand Arena, especially now going into 3 versus 3, Grand Arenas can be time consuming. I've got my streams for Grand Arena between 2 and 3 hours, closer off towards 2.5 these days. But there were times where between like if I didn't scout that much, if I didn't get that deep in it and I had to actually look into counters and stuff live on stream, I've had streams in the past where we're talking like 4, 5, 6 hours just for a normal Grand Arena. Very rare would they ever go that late, but man, it's for me, I think that the preparation makes me more effective when I go on stream. Like I can just be more about my business because I'm already at least half expecting what I'm seeing on the board when the match went live, right?
Yeah.
I'm very rarely going to get caught flat-footed by what my opponent has set. Unless they're the type that knows that I scout and they deliberately try to 180 it. You could never defend against that. People ask that. What happens if they completely juke you? Then they juked you. But if you're scouting them and you're planning to save enough teams to fight the proportion of defense that you saw when you scouted them, odds are, even if they rotated most of the teams out, that proportion of defense should remain.
Yeah.
In terms
Okay.
of number of GLs, number of really challenging teams, number of cheese teams, the difficulty of their fleets, stuff like that.
And
So,
on that topic, right, with the time factor, right?
Mhm.
In my head, I had scouting takes you longer, right? You're adding time, so you're not. I'm time poor. That's where my level, like, I don't always have the time, right? So that was in my head. Not for me because I haven't got the time, right? The half an hour it spent me, I would sit there to scout, and keep in mind my level's very minimal. More because I'm not confident on how to scout properly, I think. But that half an hour I had, all right, well, here's what they would place normally. I would then go get my counters and then go, everything else goes on to defense.
Mhm.
Leave sort of your Bane or Treya or something like that as oh, fuck, like I've screwed up and I need something to come in and take it out.
Mhm.
Then I rock up into the attack. If he's got all the teams, my counters are done. I literally go in, press battle, because I know that counter beats that, team. Go
Yeah.
in, do the battle, and my
Mhm.
actual attack phase is like 35, or let's say half an hour to an hour, instead of like, oh, now I've got to figure out what counters that and what counters that. So I obviously a lot more time can be put into the scouting and that sort of stuff, depending on what sort of time constraints you've got. But
Yeah.
it
Well, I
definitely
mean,
came as a
getting
bit of a shock. Like, I did not expect it to actually feel like I was spending less time. Yeah, it was a bit of a mind twist, but yeah.
Yeah. So before I continue on the sales pitch for why scouting, let me just say why not scouting. Why shouldn't you scout? You shouldn't scout if you're fairly pressed for time during, your week and it's like I barely got enough time to actually play Grand Arena. Okay, man. Yeah, I think you could do a pretty good job of scouting an opponent in less than an hour. It depends on the level of detail you want to go into, but if an hour per round extra is too much, that's a reason to not do it. Fair enough. The other reason to not do it is the type of player where you kind of know what you can do with your roster. You know where you have to keep a GL to make a counter work. Otherwise, you know how to use your BKM to counter JMK, and you know how to do all these trade up counters. Um, so you're if you're going to play it like, for example, Fatal really plays a style where he sets the majority of his strong teams on defense, but at least on paper is saving enough to be able to encounter to counter whatever he's expecting to see on the opponent's defense. And more often than not, he's able to get that done, and he really just doesn't scout because he doesn't need to. His plan and his preparation is such that he doesn't need to go to the effort. It's
Yeah.
now I'd say that's about it. So if you're going to be that into your own defense plan and have enough practice and understanding with your offensive counters to do that consistently, go for it. But now back onto the sales pitch for it. Yeah, so you do save time when you actually go to fight, knowing having some idea of what you're expecting and what you've reserved and what you're going to do. So you go right on in. You don't hem and haw like what you were saying. Another big advantage is it's once you get into the practice of it, it's actually a fun little mini game of its own, and the advantage stays with you in the sense that the higher up you go, the more often you'll have the opportunity to fight the same player.
Okay.
And scouting them once kind of feeds into the second scout, and it's like, I remember you. I remember what you're about. Let's see if you changed from any of that last season. Doesn't look like it. I know what you're up to. That type of thing.
Okay.
So it becomes its own mini game. Like scouting is very fun for me because I consistently enjoy countering the player, Like Datacron metas come and go. Some folks were mentioning earlier that this new Datacron set feels kind of lackluster. And it's like there've been sets like that before. Or there were sets that felt really terribly oppressive to play through. You were just counting the days until that set was gone, stuff like that. Whenever the meta sucks, especially when the meta sucks, I really enjoy scouting because I'm just focusing on playing the guy. Even with the meta being in whatever state it was, whenever it should be poor, yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to just be able to play the guy because he'll still have his own tendencies. There's always weaknesses, and you'd be surprised, even within the top 100 of Grand Arena, how some people, if you're not going to scout, you need to be rotating your defense, surely, because one of the biggest freebies from scouting is finding an opponent who sets, even if it is a really strong defense, if they just set it and forget it and let it roll over week to week, mwah, mwah,
Yeah.
I will eat your lunch
Yeah.
every time. Anytime I see that, I don't think I've ever lost a Grand Arena, fingers crossed, for an opponent who just doesn't change their defense. Like I brought exactly what I needed and I just roll right on through.
So, because you're obviously now like top 15 consistently, right? Like you have been for a long time now. You're obviously playing a lot of the same people week in, week out, or each round sort of thing. They're obviously going to be changing teams on defense pretty regularly because they're all sort of that same frame of mind, like mindset, or do you still have people that would keep their defense unless they're busy
No,
or something?
not that
Obviously,
high up, not top 15. They're
yeah,
either scouting or most of them are scouting.
yeah,
And then the ones that aren't are going to rotate stuff week to week based on what they've learned.
yeah,
Um, Nobody that high up is just gonna leave it static. And when Fatal's intending to make a big upward trajectory, and when he is up there like that, he might be one of the only ones to do it like that. And we'll see how it goes.
okay,
Because I think he's gonna have to change stuff when he gets up there. Because even as recent as last season, I want to say he had one opponent who scouted him, saw everything that he was setting, saved just perfect, and then set a pretty reasonable defense besides, which suggests that he planned precisely for Fatal's defense. And yeah, you can't. Yeah, you just can't do that. You're stripping down all of your planning to a quick plug and chug. You know, can't
yeah,
do that.
yeah. All right. So, what does a general scouting look for you? Like before, are you looking at someone before GAC, before the bracket's even there? Are you looking there?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's so. You know, uh, if you want to have a sense, if you're interested in what your opponents might be looking like, Like let's say that you have a counter that you want to use, but it's only going to work if you know that you know, a certain key character of yours is faster than a certain key character of theirs, no matter who the opponent is. One reasonable way to do it is you could go look at the leaderboards right now and see the 8 people above your rank and the 8 people below your rank. And if you want to do the legwork, look through their account, look at those key characters, see how you stack up, look at their datacrons. Are you kind of on par with the quantity and quality of datacrons that they've got? If not, something for you to panic farm in the last couple days before we lock in for week one.
Yeah.
You can absolutely go to that effort, and I have done that in the past when there were some really strict counters that required say, oh man, if my Moff Gideon isn't faster than your whatever, this just is not going to work, and I have to do something completely different.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. I would go and do that legwork back then. Now I'm not worried about it. Um, my stuff is all generally pretty fast, and then for the things that it's not, I'll find it in my scout when I look at the guy.
Okay. All right. So it's not so much you're not seeing something and modding to prevent anything like the Moff Gideon stuff. You're past that sort of level.
Well, that's a different question. You're saying do I
Do you look
no
ahead of
longer
time?
mod characters to block certain counters?
Yes.
No, that's I mean that's no, that's not true.
Okay.
No. Like if I know that a certain character needs to be so fast to block somebody out. Like for example, I don't know when's the next time you'll ever be using Grand Admiral Thrawn with Lord Vader. But yeah, mine's still 340, back from when you wanted to have him, what was it? One speed slower than armor. Uh, so that if you were using Thrawn with Sith Eternal, like you could do C armor Thrawn GBA, something like that, and you could set it up such that armor does her third, gives herself 3 stacks of Beskar ingot, and then you have Thrawn trade his turn
Just get to,
immediately thereafter back to her, put your 3 stacks on Sith Eternal, and you're off.
yeah.
Like old specs that were strong, I won't change
Okay.
until I become constrained on resources. But a lot of those old pinch points are kind of fading away from the game. New teams are changing it.
Okay.
What was it? Just last season, uh, one of my patrons suggested that I use Veer's troopers to take out a BKM team on defense. And yeah, I didn't immediately recall that that was a threat for it. And I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't have a turn meter cron on here for the level 3. It could be done. And I had to sit there and think about how did all of this work back then, and remembering what the abilities did. Like, it's rare that you have to dust off some of these old things that you're modded for, but I still keep them set up for it.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So can you run us through how you would scout? Because I think I gave you ally codes.
Well, let me ask you this. So that's what you want to do this now, or do you want to do the questions? Because I know you had a big list of
Do
questions
you
for
want
me
to go
too.
through them as we go, or what?
Yeah, I didn't know what your vision was for
Yeah,
that. That's why I'm
I'm
asking.
happy to as things sort of pop up. I think
Sure.
it's sort of
Okay.
yeah,
We'll knock them out at the same time.
yeah.
All right. Let me get this up on screen. All right. All right. You should be able to see my screen now. Let me know if you have that up. Oh, I see. You're going to have to kind of
Yeah.
resize that
No,
on
that's all good.
Twitch.
I just need to pop it out.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Oh, I've lost it. Out bigger.
Womp Rat's like, we did prep for this, Mike.
I know. I know. And we've got it.
Do we?
We do. It just all went back to where it shouldn't have. All right.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's transition across to it. All right, so this is...
Oh, it's still kind of
Right, I just need to move it
weird.
across.
How do we fix that? Oh, look at you. Okay. Do I need to scale it down or something?
Nope, I can do that.
Okay. Yeah, because that's huge.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
A little bit more, just a touch more.
Just about there.
Okay. All right, but then can you zoom in on it or not?
I sure can, like that. Out
Yeah.
like that. Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the way I do it on my own OBS setup. Okay. So yeah, so you ask, how do I do my scout? So the first
Yes.
things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Hotbot and do my compare. I don't have that here for you, but it's that side by side you see me show on the
Mhm.
stream. What I like about that is just as my eye is going down that Hotbot scout, I'm taking a note of, okay, I've got better mods, he's got better mods, I have more relics, or does he? I have better datacrons, or does he? Just getting that sense of that high level trend on the opponent.
Yeah.
The next thing I'm going to do is plug his ally code, the enemy ally code, into PrimeBot, which you can find on any number of SWGoH discords, but it is in the bots channel on my Discord as well. You just start a DM with it, do /watch, and then it'll prompt you to input the enemy ally code. And that's the bot that chirps at you telling you your opponent scored X number of banners. Like
Yep.
it's going to report just after opponent does a fight. It doesn't tell you what they fought, so you'd have to pull up the game and see who they just cleared for 65 banners or whatever. But this is how, at the start of my streams, I can tell you guys, how many banners he scored against which teams. Because if I'm
Mhm.
awake to catch it, I'll try and watch and make a note.
Yep.
And, PrimeBot is DMing me on Discord. It says, opponent scored 65. So as soon as I get that chime, I just reply and hit send to the bot what the team was. And, it doesn't do anything with that response. It doesn't care if you chat to it. So, it tells me 65 banners. I type LV, hit enter, and that's how I'll have it just briefly recorded so I can follow.
Yep.
Yeah, I still see that lampshade on Taz's bald head movie. Yeah,
And a couple of people
fantastic.
say the stream isn't working, but
No,
everybody
I
then
think
is
it looks
saying
good.
that it's
I
fine.
have it open on my other monitor. It
Yeah.
looks good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways, the last thing that I'm going to do is put together an Omega Bot report. So, appreciate you and Womp both being members of this show and also patrons of mine. You don't have to be a patron of mine to have Patreon access to Omega Bot, but there I do offer a bundle for it. And Patreon for OmegaBot is nice for a couple reasons. First, the reason for OmegaBot is it gives you these trends on your opponent. I have 4 tabs here because of the patron level report. But essentially, if you run the free version of OmegaBot, you'll get one big image file that kind of has all 4 tabs of information, and you can kind of pinch and zoom to inspect individual parts and stuff. But I like the way that it's broken out here on the HTML, and then if you're interested in it, you can click. There's clickable details all inside this and links that'll plug right back into swugga.gg. So team counters for certain enemy teams, you can just click. Uh, there's a whole bunch of integration in
And
this
all
Omega Bot.
the green boxes and that down the bottom, that's where the zones were, and that is that thing from memory?
I'll explain each of these tabs
Okay.
in turn because this
Yep.
is where we're going to spend a lot of our time. So the biggest advantage to OmegaBot is that it saves you time on combing swugga.gg. The old way of scouting was you just look through each round and look at all the teams. And make notes as you're going round by round by round. And if you didn't find everything that you were looking for just within the last week, you'd have to go manually review the week before and build your own sense of what you're getting. So with this patron report, we'll go from the first tab, summary, so we can see attack time. Now, this isn't always useful to people, but it is interesting for me to see when my opponents attack, because I personally like to know, like, if they're the type of person that likes to attack late, then yeah, then I don't expect them to clear my bottom front wall before I start, and that's just whatever. That's part of streamer life. But if I can see that they're going to start early or whatever, I might reach out and say, hey, I stream, and if you want to jump in with me on Discord, it'd be really great if you can clear that bottom front wall, and then we're good. Something like that. So it kind of tells me about my opponent's tendency there. Anyway, for mod comparison, we can see that you're the green line. So by far and large, you have much better speed mods than your opponent. All right. This table got added at my request, actually, for this GAC Omicron comparison. And shout out to Megalidros to adding this some time ago, because I love this. At a glance, I just know where I'm strong, where I'm weak on Omicrons versus my opponent. You guys both have most of them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, I pulled this report for you.
Hang on the Omicron thing.
Yeah.
I guess at your level, everybody's going to have most of the stuff, right? Are there any... Do you ever find anything in there at your level? Did you go, oh, shit, like, I've actually gotten...
Mostly for the purposes of amusement. No, not really, because it'll be stuff like, I see we both have all of the GAC Omicrons, except my opponent doesn't have Krennic and Luminara. You fool! I have you now.
Yeah, okay.
Type of thing. So no, not really at the top, because you expect most people to have everything, and certainly have anything that would matter, and they do.
Yeah.
So yeah. That one isn't so useful to me anymore, but back when I asked for it, definitely was.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Now, this part of the graph is often underappreciated, squad banner efficiency. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say. So not only do you get this HTML version of the report if you have the patron thing, the limitation of the free Omega bot is that it will pull the last available week of Grand Arena history for free. So if we're going into this first week of 3 versus 3, if you go run the report, it's going to pull the last available week of Grand Arena history, which is going to be the last week of 5 versus 5. Right?
Yep.
So that's somewhat of a disadvantage. Like, so the meaning there would be that as a free user of OmegaBot, you'll get an accurate and useful report for weeks 2 and 3, right? You can't really get any pre-season information out of it without being a patron. But as a patron, you can specify any number of weeks that go into the report. So you gave me the ally code for your last round opponent at the end of the 5 vs 5 season.
Yep.
So I took your ally code, his ally code, plugged that into OmegaBot, and then added the string, which is something patrons can do. It's called last 3 vs 3. And so now it's prepared this report comparing your two ally codes based on your 5 vs 5 opponent's last 3 vs 3 season.
Okay.
So now you'll have a sense of what this guy, if you for some reason got matched against this guy at the start of 3 versus 3, now we're going to get some type of sense of what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right. So anyway, back to this squad banner efficiency thing. So looking at his last 3 versus 3, yellow bars are about how often opponents are getting these scores against him. Black bars are how often he's achieving those scores on attack. All right. So what we see is that at the very high end, he might find the odd opportunity for a 58, but his opponents are looking for it and possibly finding it a little more often than he is against him. For 57s, you can see about a third. He's getting about a third more 57s than his opponents are scoring against him last season.
Yep.
Likewise, he's getting superior results on 56, 55. His opponents are beating him out a bit on 54s, 53, and then whatever. Who cares about these lower scores? So you get a sense of how efficient his best attacks are compared to how his opponents are against him for their better attacks. So he's doing better more often for his good attacks. However, we're going to go and look for, we know in the back of our head something 30 plus, in the 30s is going to be a drop, right? A drop to clear.
Yeah.
Like he dropped on the first time and then cleared it after. So we're kind of paying attention to anything that's in the 30s and under and looking for dropped attacks. So I can see one, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, wait, what is that? 6, 7, 8, something like 8 or 9 attacks in the entire season. So he's not flawless.
Yep.
All right. Now we'll go to the defense tab.
Can
All
you
right,
look
so
into anything on those bars that he would put stronger defense, or because he's getting the more on attack sort of? Is that something you can look into, or?
what do you mean? There's nothing clickable about these bars.
No,
if
I mean
that's what
like
you're
as
asking.
in, can you assume that because he does a little bit better on the attack, that he's going to save more for attack, or?
So we we will confirm. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking at trends. Details will come later.
Okay.
What I'm noticing by the squad banner efficiency is that for his best attacks, he knows what he's about. And and because of the relative superiority in which he's getting 55, 56, 57 compared to his opponents, suggests that he's setting down a decent defense while still being really efficient himself. We don't know yet, but it's
Yeah.
just a trend, right? When you get used to reading this report, this whole page is probably 30 seconds of eyeball time,
Okay.
right? It's not such a long deep dive on this.
Yep.
But this is my favorite single graph on this page because it just kind of tells me about your thing. Like, okay, you're pretty clean on these attacks, but look, like you had a handful of drops, so either there's something that trips you up or you're not as efficient as I'm thinking. We'll find out when we go further in. So this report is pulled for the entirety of his last season, so 9 rounds, right? We can see that the maximum height for any of these teams, all the teams are on the x-axis, and then the number of times seen is on the y-axis. None of these are actually 9 out of 9. And that suggests to me probably one opponent just didn't really attack.
Okay.
Because this guy looks pretty consistent about what he likes to set, right? We'll read this across here. Now, you can see that there's a color coding here for what this means, and I'll explain it in a minute. But as far as the teams that your opponent was setting last season, he was setting Lord Vader, Jabba, Great Mothers, Balin, Gungans, Dash, Captain Enoch, Queen, Finn, Kelleran, Qui-Gon, Tuskens, Rey Swolo, Ahsoka with Ezra, and Mon Mothma. Pretty reliably, right? 5, 10, 15. Are you on a 15 size board? Is that what you're on? You're on a Kyber 1 board?
No, Kyber 2. I think we've only got 4 in the back.
Okay, so 4. Then this matches perfectly then. Yeah. Executrix, Radis, and Negotiator on defense. Note that only 3 times seen, suggesting that opponents aren't really often seeing his fleet defense last season, right? Now, as far as these colors go, so yeah, orange is basically withdraw. All right, the burnt orange, this one is straight up a loss. Like you lost and you preloaded that. And then you have yellow, which is not shown any of these bars, but that's where you dropped on the first attempt and then cleaned it up on the second. So think of it like a spare in bowling. All right. So you can see that opponents were dropping on his Lord Vader, his Jabba, his Great Mothers, his Balin, Gungans, Dash, Finn, Kelleran, Qui-Gon, Rey, and Ahsoka with Ezra. Makes sense. Executrix was getting underestimated and got dropped on once that people saw. Now, this is a really telling graph. This is defenses by zone. So we can see all the same teams listed on the x-axis, and what the colors here say that orange means these teams are in the back. Green is these teams are up top, and yellow means that these are bottom front. Now, what do we notice is that all of these team bars are completely solid.
Yep.
It means that like if Dash had like half yellow and half green, that would mean that he rotated it between the bottom and the top zone. But he's not rotating anything. This is a set it and forget it type of guy.
Yep.
So, with extremely high confidence, you might expect to see Lord Vader, Jabba, Balin, Dash, and Queen bottom front. Right? So that's always important to me,
Yep.
is paying attention to like, okay, this gives me a lot of intel. This tells me that you're really probably not scouting because you would have incentive to move stuff for your own defensive reasons or to counter something that you see about how your opponent attacks. So I don't think this guy's into scouting. And yeah, as far as again, we see that a lot of these teams don't have 8 out of 8 and no 9 out of 9. The people
With
are not getting all the way through his stuff.
with the freebie version, do
Mhm.
those colors come through?
I think so. Yeah, it's just like you get it as one big image file, and I think defenses by zone is part of that.
All right. I
But
just had in
the
my
free
head that,
report wouldn't give you this view though
yeah,
because this is a
Wombrat's
whole
saying,
season's worth of data,
yeah,
right? You would only get 3.
at the most it would be three. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big difference.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I've been using Omega Bot for years, and I'll tell you guys straight up, like I have a base Patreon bundle for me that's $5 a month. It's $10 with Omega Bot baked in. Or what if the $5 was really what the difference was to you, if you spend any money on this game and you want to give yourself an advantage in Grand Arena, go subscribe to Omega Bot directly. It is $5 a month directly to subscribe just to Omega Bot. And I personally think, I mean, if you spend at least $5 a month on this game, that's probably the best single $5 you can spend if you want to, perform better in
Yep.
Grand Arena. If you want to get a lot of the benefit of scouting without having to put in quite as much legwork as you would otherwise.
And you've got
So
one that's got hot utils as well.
yeah, I do have a $15 Patreon bundle that has Omega Bot and Hot Utils and my Patreon all in one bundle. So if you buy the Chili subscription of Hot Utils and Omega Bot, that's $15 a month right there.
Hmm.
So it's a good value bundle, yes, but you know, that's nice if you want both of those bots to help you out for your preparation. But the point here is that I swear by Omega Bot, whether or not you want to line my pockets, you can go line his for $5 a month, and I would say you're doing right by yourself for Grand Arena.
You don't get the Patreon access on your Discord either, so all the
It's true. No,
videos
there's
that you can sit and
benefits.
watch. Yeah.
There's benefits to being a patron of mine, but for some people would say it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. It's like that's it's fine. If you wanted to spend 5 and not 10, you could spend 5 directly with Omega Bot, and he'll treat you right.
Fair
And
enough.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I just a disclaimer, I mean, just all fairness, in all fairness. All right, so we covered the defense tab. Now let's go over to offense. Oh, yeah, real quick about these lines in the report. People ask about this, and
Yeah.
my eye doesn't even see them anymore. I overlook them. This is these lines running through the bars are from the very earliest days of Omega Bot, and even Megaliteros thinks that their usefulness is pretty muted these days, but he just didn't want to remove functionality, so they're still there. The black line is about average banners. What are the average banners that his opponents are scoring against his own defense? So you can see that against Lord Vader, opponents are getting like an average of 34, considering that in 8 attempts, 3 of them
Mhm.
were drops of different kinds. You know what I'm saying? So, that drags that average down. Jabba was an average of 49. Great Mother's an average of 39. Balin an average of 40.9. You can follow these and just don't read this. You're seeing the lines in between the points. Don't read that for the black line. That's not what's important. You're just looking for each bar, and it will tell you what the average is. So if I look at the Queen Amidala bar, I see 56.1. Don't pay attention to the lines going into or out of this point. Just opponents are scoring an average of 56.1 banners on his queen. That's it. You
Yeah.
know. Now, as far as the blue line goes, attack order, this one I don't really get a lot of juice out of, but it is literally what it says. It's attack order. And the way to read it is you start from the lowest number you can find and then go let your eye hunt down the next highest number. And then you're kind of running around from there. Now, this is taken over the entire course of the season. So it's kind of like an average attack order, right? So, if we look at here on squads, so it's like 6.0 is the lowest number I can see on squads.
Hmm.
So it's like he's attacking, people are attacking his Tuscans first. Does that make sense? Let me go down. Where is Tuscans? Tuscans are in the back. So no, I think this might even be broken. I don't know. I wouldn't use the attack order thing
Well, no,
anyway.
it
I don't
could
think
be.
that's
If they're in the back and people are continually going through the south wall, opening it up and seeing Tuscans, it could be the sixth team that gets attacked.
Yeah, but the way that this used to be readable for me was you're starting from the lowest number you can see, and that is their first attack.
Gotcha.
You
Okay.
know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
uh, man, I'm not reading any of this in chat. You guys,
Nah,
you guys keep that.
they're
That's
just,
cursed.
yeah, they're just hanging shit on you basically. But yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right. Offense that he was using last season was Gas, JML, Leia, Malgus, Riva, Bane, JMK Cat, Slacker, BKM, Treya, C with Watt, Afra, Heracrex, CLS, Radis, and Sir Malikos Starkiller. A couple other things as needed. Executor, Profundity, and Leviathan on offense. So he's not leaving anything to chance fleet wise. He will
Yep.
cheese you. This could be an opponent where it might be useful to you to set a triple meta defense against this type of guy. It depends on how comfortable you are with your own fleet counters. But this is the guy who is trying to trivialize everything. So you don't really have an incentive to keep your best fleets for attack, right?
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, you can see with the color coding, how is he performing on attack? Well, whatever he's using gas against, he's dropping damn near half the time. JML's had some losses. Leia, Malgus, JMK with Cat, Slacker, C with Watt, Heracrex, CLS, Radis, Seer Malikos. He's had losses with all these. We don't know against what, but it's useful enough to know that he's mostly clean. You can see a lot of green here, but you have opportunity. This guy's gonna
Yeah.
try some stuff. This many drops tells me that it's like you had an idea on paper that didn't pan out for a few things. That's what that looks like.
Is this
Right.
3v3 was Darkside Raycron around? It would have been, wouldn't it?
We would have had it last
Yeah.
time, yeah?
If
Yeah. So
they
yes.
had it, but yes, it would have been around. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Teams faced by Tyrion Brandt. So what was he actually having to fight? Now, there is a nice thing that can happen sometimes where let's say that you only have a couple of drops. For example, here in Fleet, you see that he had 2 drops on Fleet all season. Sometimes things line up easily looking at this graph where I can see that this guy dropped once against a profundity with 5 stars. That's what Prof 5 means on the graph, is a 5-star profundity. And then once against an executor.
Mhm.
So he dropped against an executor and a profundity. So this lends into what I'm saying, where against this type of opponent, you might well just set triple meta on him because he's saving it and he might screw up. So fair enough.
Yep. And then
All
he's
right.
used Malevolence to clean them up.
Seemingly. Yeah, it doesn't really, you can't really read that from that, but yeah.
Okay.
Teams that he faced and, had dropped on. So he's faced and dropped Seer Malikos, Slacker, Saw, Mon Mothma, Trench, Seer Malikos Starkiller, Tuskens, Leia, Ray Swallow Ezra, Queen, Iden, Malgus, Palpatine with Starkiller. So he dropped on all of these. And you can see that pink means he timed out. So he actually timed out on a Tusken team and a Queen team. That'll be interesting. So we don't know exactly what he dropped with against which teams, but we have a sense now of this guy is generally fairly clean, but he's offering some opportunity. And we saw that these were the type of teams that he was going to drop on, which are generally challenging teams. So what I'm doing with OmegaBot is, again, this process that we just took, whatever, 20, 25 minutes going over these tabs, this is taking me minutes to look over
Yeah,
myself,
absolutely.
right? When you're in the habit of this, you're just going to blaze right on through. So, okay, I know this guy's going to attack later in the period. I've got better speed mods. That's nice to know. We're both fairly well equipped Omicron wise. And oh, yeah, this guy's pretty efficient on some attacks, but he's going to drop a good handful over a season. Nice to know. Like 10 seconds, we're done, right? Now, here is where I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to, while I'm going through this report, I've got a notepad file open, and I'm going to take little notes here and there. You know, it's like, okay, this guy set one, two, three, four GLs on defense, and a few challenge teams besides.
Yep.
So even if he rotates all of this stuff out because the Datacron meta is different, he's probably going to keep to that same proportion of defense. That's useful to know. I mean, in addition to 4GLs, he's also going to commit some reasonably challenging teams, right? Queen Amidala, Gungans. Gungans are at a high point right now. Balin is cool. Great Mothers is cool. These are all strong teams. So what is that? Another 3 or 4 teams besides, and you say that you have 5, 5, 4, right? So you have 14 teams. So yeah, so that's probably a solid 8 of those teams you can account on being reasonably challenging, right? All right, then offense, we kind of see what was he dropping with here and what was he dropping on here. So all these are little notes that you're taking, and now I can go back to the summary tab, click this little link to open up his GG, and then I'm over to his GG to look at rounds in detail, which is what we're going to do next. But I wanted to briefly cover about the details page because you asked.
Yep.
This page has really grown on me over the years. When I first started using OmegaBot, it was pretty much just these first 3 tabs that I got into. Because the first time you crack open this details page and you see all this shit on the screen, my first thought was, fuck this. But honestly, this early part isn't so much what I use. First, get a sense of the format. We can see that you have all 3 weeks arrayed in here, going from week 1 to week 2 to week 3, going across. You see round 1, round 2, round 3, round 1, round 2, round 3,
Yep.
round 1, round. All right. And now this you can actually read. I have a video for my patrons where I made it with the maker of OmegaBot, Megalideros, where we explain every feature of this tool in full detail. That explaining how this little section works exceeds what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
But you could basically get a sense of how his defense performed, like the best of his defense performed from this one. These couple sections, these early sections, are kind of just an eyesore in my opinion. Defense details is also one that I kind of skip over because it does tell you, it answers the question, how did X team perform on my opponent's defense? And now you can see reading across. So his opponent in round 1 got 1 kill. That's what that 0-1 means with BKM. He dropped and had 1 kill, but then the opponent cleaned up with Phasma for 31. Okay. And you can read it across like so. Now, you asked about these green boxes here, these boxes next to it. These are actually representations of health and protection. So
Okay.
you can see here in round 2, this guy's opponent used Slacker to kill his Lord Vader Oppo CX2 team for 51 banners. All right, 51. We know there was some bleed. Well, we can see what happened. You have one character. The top bar, the light green, is protection. The bottom is health. All right. So
Okay.
there are 3 little columns. We can see 2 of them are completely blanked out. This means that 2 characters died.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
And then full health, full protection means that, Slacker was our remainder. Right. So this part is kind of a bit much for my eyes. I don't really use this so much. Now we're getting into gold, boys and girls. Offense details. This section answers the question, how does my opponent prefer to use X team on attack? So now you look it up and look it across. And I like the color coding in here because I can see the patterns. Oh boy, he likes to fail with Leia versus Leia.
Yep.
Oh boy, Slacker versus Leia, he failed. Slacker versus JML, he failed. Slacker versus JMK. versus another slacker. He's kind of rough at using his slacker. He used Ray here for exactly 0 banners to not kill a JMK. So it jumps right out at you. You had what did I say? Like 8 or 9 attacks dropped in the entire season, and
Yep.
now I have them all literally in one view, color
Yeah.
coded.
Yep.
You can't beat that with a stick. You could spend 20 minutes looking through GG to try and find that same information that I have right here in this one image, this one still.
Yep.
So you can scroll through this in detail, as much detail as you want. You can see round by round, how did he use any given team. Now we go down to, this is my real favorite one, counters used. So you're thinking about what you want to put on your own defense. Gosh, if I set down my Galactic Legend Ray, what's he going to use to beat it? That's what this section answers. What is his counter for X team? So we can see here in round 1 against the Galactic Legend Ray, Seer for 53 banners, Leia for 52 in round 2. He used JMK and got nothing in round 3, had to clean it up with Seer for 34 banners, so on and so forth. So, part of scouting, and when we go over to GG in a second, part of my scouting is trying to understand how my opponent's attacks have evolved. Where did they start from? Did they, it's if you look at an opponent and on one round and you see, oh, they dropped an attack on this, and this fight. I've got them. I'm going to set all those right up front. Well, that depends on when in the week they did that. If they did that in round 1,
Mm-hmm.
you should check and see if they made that same commitment in round 2 and 3. Maybe they changed it up. Maybe they smoothed out a wrinkle. They might actually get that counter to work in a later round, or they might have just rotated to something else and been successful. But looking at just one round doesn't give you that full breadth of information you're looking for.
Yep.
So, anyways, we can see, wow. So I think it was week 2 of last season. When was it? I don't know. He didn't fight Slacker on defense until what? The end of week
Round
2.
3,
That's
week
what
2.
that looks like.
Yep.
Yeah. And then once more in week 3. Anyways, so yeah, that's the counters used. You're thinking about, gosh, I wonder what he's going to use if I set this down. This is how you look it up. This
Mm-hmm.
is the easiest way to get these answers. So I really appreciate at least the counters used and the offense used. As far as how to get really the most out of this defense details and then this defense leader section, offense leader section, I'll have to refer folks to the patron video that I made with Megalitos back then, because that's a deep dive.
You gotta leave some secrets.
Yeah, it's something that he was much better at explaining than I was, so I'll best leave it to the man himself. All right, now we're coming over to SWGoH. So yeah, from the summary tab, there's a link. I clicked it. It opened up as GG. Now, whenever I open up my opponent's GG, I have the tab for GAC open, and then I'll right-click collection, open up a separate tab, and then sort it by overall speed. This is useful just as reference. I don't necessarily get a ton of use out of this myself anymore, but best practices are best regardless, because I used to rely on this in previous years. But having just all of their roster sorted by speed quickly has a few things jump out at you. Like, wow, this Admiral Piet, if they're going to do Imperial Troopers, is not the fastest in the world. This General Hutts is pretty fast. That's kind of interesting to know. This Morgan Elsbeth is nowhere near fast enough to be getting used with Great Mothers against my, Exile Ezra, wherever he is. Let's see what else we've got. Yeah, Great Mothers 280, right? So speed's not the emphasis there. Echo, his Bad Batch Echo is fairly slow, so you take advantage of that for your own defenses that otherwise could get eaten up easily by Bad Batch. I mean, there's not a lot of high speed on this roster, but you get the idea. You're getting an at a glance, just scrolling down the page sense of, oh, he's too slow to do that against me, or oh, I can easily outspeed him for that. So if he sets that team, I'll just crush it. So this is helpful just to have that open as a spare. But anyways, back over here to Grand Arena. My typical practice is, now having gone through OmegaBot having taken some notes, I have some questions that I'm going to be looking for as I'm going through. Oh, so I saw that he dropped on these few teams. I'm going to be looking and seeing, how did he drop? What did he use? And we'll pay attention to all the details here. Now, I could look over this entire season on your opponent, but I think this is what I generally am doing. I'm only looking at the opponent's last week of history. That's going to be their latest and greatest. They're going to take their lessons learned from whatever they did in the previous weeks and apply it. So if this last week of history was something where their opponents just didn't attack and you're skunked, you got no intel that you can read into this most recent week, go ahead. You can go back into the previous week. That's fine. But in general, I'm only looking at the most recent week. And now my practice is going to be starting at round 1 and looking at his attacks, and then looking at his attacks in round 2 and how they're changing, and then seeing how they changed into round 3. And only after we've looked at his attacks will I start to think about my own defense. So anyway, starting here in round 1. By the way, you cut in on me if you want. Otherwise, I'm just going to monologue this
You
shit.
do. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we can see. I'm looking for trends, things that jump out. All right. Seer Malikos was a bit rough for him. What did he do? A Kron that had high health, not a lot of offensive stat. Kind of interesting. Yep, this is the no revive. Okay. Or sorry, the revive and the damage reduction. All pretty good. Right. Malgus versus Tarkin. Wow, that's kind of an overkill. Malgus versus Tarkin. Bane versus Queen is fair. See Watt Wampa. Why? Why? Okay. All right. BK Reva versus Leia. Okay, so he was very clean on attacks this round until he got to what? Iden, and then I guess he was kind of short on things. He had Radis and he had it with this besides. So I guess he wanted to be cute here and try Maul and got punished for that. Okay, not a ton of lessons to learn here, but as far as fleet goes, I wanted to see this. 70 banners doing the mirror. I like that. 69 doing the mirror. And then Profundity set. Dude, you gotta set triple on this guy. This guy is gonna bleed on your fleet. All right. All right, round 2. Now, when I said he has to set triple meta, this is something I have to hold myself back on. It's tempting when you're looking in round 1 or round 2 to be like, haha, you dropped there. I've got you. Hold on. You got to do what I said a minute ago. You got to look through the whole thing and see if he corrected himself later. So hold on. All right. So Bane versus Queen. He seems to like that. Okay. Watt versus JML. Sure. Malgus again versus Tarkin. This one took quite a bit of a bite out of him with an Apocron. Okay. No worries there. DTMG, sure, yep, he knows how to do his Radis there. None of these are too crazy. It's down to Gas versus Mon Mothma.
Okay.
Interesting that failed. And then he didn't clear after that, I guess. Yeah, that's right. He kind of just let this one go. Now, what's interesting is when we go to look at defense, I see that round 1, his opponent really just did one attack, so we can't get much intel there. Round 2, this opponent did a full clear, so if we don't have great information about our opponent's defense in round 3, we'll come back to round 2 because we know that we'll have a full defense to look through.
Yep.
Right? So here we are at round 3. And indeed, his opponent didn't clear the whole thing, so we'll see what we can. But anyway, his plan went well on attack, right? Pretty nice and clean. So, Bane versus Queen, Treya versus Gungans, First drop is here on Saw, and an ordinary Kron at that, just a bulk level 3. He used gas. So this is the type of thing where it's like, this is the guy that knows that for any of your power teams, he knows what he's got assigned in his head. All right. This is something I frequently encounter in my own opponents where if they know what's coming and it's going to be big, powerful teams, they've already got it reserved. So maybe one of the best things that you can do against people like this is your bottom front wall isn't about strength, it's about choices. You have whatever you have in the back, however many GLs or not, they don't know. And whatever you have up top that they can see, but bottom front is all stuff that they could be flexible about what they use. It isn't pre-assigned in their mind how they're dealing with this team. So you could get a lot of value by placing such teams bottom front. Whereas if you place something like Saw in the back, once he's already done everything he was planning to do, he can comfortably come back and overkill it or do whatever else. But here, if you set this bottom front, you're forcing his hand because clearly he used everything else that was otherwise reserved before he got to Saw. Now look at this again. 70, 71, and then 75 profundity. Man, this guy's going to bleed like a stuck pig if you set triple meta. All right, JMK into Slacker with the Dracron. He wiped. See that he's using Mace. This is the third
Yeah,
round of
right.
the week, so we don't really have much to go on. But if he's not using fives, this can get bad. This can get bad.
Were those gas teams with fives? They looked like they were Arc Trooper and
No. I'm saying
No, one-
saying that
when he was on
I'm
attack
saying,
though. Did he
Huh?
have fives?
oh, I think he used gas on attack, so I'm sure he had fives.
Right at
Didn't
the
he
top,
use
I think
gas?
it
Yeah,
was.
there's fives
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
So he wiped gas Rex fives
Okay.
into Saw. So yeah, he had the option and chose to go with JMK with Mace. So okay, if he's gonna do that, he might struggle. All right, and then he was otherwise okay. Managed to get through. Defense. Now we've gone through all 3 rounds of attack. What we've learned about a quick look through on that is he's mostly pre-assigned. Like he knows what he's going to do for your power team. So it's probably better to offer him a defensive choices. Now we're going to go through the most recent defense that we can find and see what he was setting. We're going to look for the most complete defense, which means we're going to go back to round 2. But real quick, I just wanted to see what's in round 3 because then I'll have a sense of how different it is from round 2. All right. So, yep, Dash got somebody. Okay, Ahsoka with Ezra. Wow, okay. Somebody dropped on that. Yep, Malgus. Ooh, yeah, this could be tough. Malgus versus Great Mothers. And then, yeah, guy couldn't get through. Okay, okay. That makes sense. Let's go here then. So, when I found the most recent complete defense I can, I'm opening up a new notepad file, and now I'm going to write out each and every single one of these teams. And then I'm going to assign a precise counter for each of these teams. Okay. And the remainder of that is what I have available for defense. So now you could say, oh, Tass, this was last 3 versus 3. Set 21's expired. It's not going to be the same team. Okay, fine. But that goes back to what we were saying a while ago about proportion. This guy's probably going to set the same strength of defense, whatever the Datacron meta is. It's probably not going to be more than 4 GLs and like 3 or 4 other strong teams and a couple cheesers besides, right? Defense, this guy is not trying to be practiced with anything slick. So he's just setting this down. And I guess the intent would be to be more efficient than you on fleet, right? And certainly not drop. But I think, if you were going to set triple meta on him, this would be a real problem. All right. So, anyways, you would be writing down each of these teams, and your remainder is what you have for defense. Then you go in and start thinking about how you want to arrange your teams based on your own preference, and then based on what we've learned from the scouting. Again, you're still going to want to have those main powerful teams down somewhere of your own, but probably think about like, wow, he is. We could go back to the Omega Bot report, go back to details, and use not counters used, but offense. Like, how is he? You're looking for the same name to jump out at you over and over. It's like if he's always using Bane versus here's Bane
Queen
detail
Amidala.
versus Balin versus Kit versus Balin versus Palpatine versus Queen versus Queen versus Queen versus Queen versus Queen. Okay, so if I set Queen, this guy's saving Bane. Or if I show any kind of history of having set Queen and I don't set Queen up front, this guy's probably saving Queen for Bane. Bane for Queen, something like that, right? Any of those things where he's going to save it for the prescribed counter, don't set that bottom front. Don't reward him for doing what he wanted to do anyway. Set that literally anywhere else. It can be top. Ideally, you would be setting teams up top that don't suggest what you're hiding in the back, don't telegraph that. But the bottom front should be stuff like, oh, well, what are you going to do if I set Saw here? What if I set Great Mothers? You don't know what GLs I have in the back. So think of it like that. Now, you said you had a list of questions you're going to ask
Yes.
along the way. I'm not hearing a lot of questions.
No.
Fellas.
So this one is very. I was gonna let you finish this thought and then go into it. At what point? How do you, from all this, how do you sort of split up offense teams versus defensive teams? Do you just literally, like what I'm sort of doing, find a counter to what is most probable and then put everything else on defense? Or
Oh yeah, so for filling out that notepad file for what I'm using for a precise counter, obviously I'll use what I know from my own experience. I know that I can do, a 65 with C versus his Malgus. I don't care what Datacron season it is. I'm gonna be able to get it done. Okay,
Yep.
fine. Then I know that I'm gonna do that. But if it's a team where it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do against his Saw with a Sawcron last season, then the first thing I'm gonna do is just go back to his own defense history and see how his opponents cleared it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Let this guy's opponents tell you what they did, and at the very least, you'll know what not to attempt. And if you're still not getting information out of this, that's where you go to insights and just look up the team.
Yep.
But yeah, where it isn't intuitive for me to fill out that list, I'll look it up just like this and get that filled out.
So I guess as they're coming into round 1 of 3v3, would you put anything, like, would you put more emphasis on having things in attack, like extra things just in case? Or
Well, so the intent of our plan is if there's 14 squads and you have assigned a precise counter, we're not talking about some, oh, I'm not sure this is going to work. That's not what we're doing. We're picking something we have confidence in, and confidence for like a 64, 65, or whatever.
yeah,
Or in the case of 3 versus 3, I want to say a 57, right? Um, so yeah, we're
okay,
we're thinking about it in those terms. So when you go to so as far as how many spare teams to keep for defense, I think that there's two ways to answer that. As a general rule, I think it's pretty reasonable to have yourself 1 to 2 decent teams as a backup. But what does that mean in context? Like, if you drop a GL, is your great mother's going to save you? It depends on which GL, right? It depends on the great on the meta. Maybe it was better for you to have set great mothers.
okay,
That so keeping the general rule of having one between 1 and 3 teams, I guess, extra. But as far as which ones, here's how I actually do it. When you assign out those precise teams for everything that you expect on their defense, you start then going in and laying out your board. And when you're probably in your last 2 or 3 teams to get set, you're going to feel some stress. You're going to feel some, I wonder if this is good enough, or I wonder if I'm committing too much. And that's when you pull up the notepad file again, side by side. Now that you've got most of your defense laid and you've got your attack plan here in front of you and you've got them both right there, you can think, are all of these all about 100% confidence? Even if one of these seems a little shaky, if it is shaky and I do drop, which one of these teams that I'm planning to set on defense might I need? And if
okay,
you're feeling like you need that security blanket,
yep,
then you reserve that team and you set
yep,
something a little weaker. But
okay,
I like
yep,
to
yep,
answer that question about how many spare teams do I need only when I have kind of a sense of both what is my offensive counter plan and the defensive board so far, with maybe only 2 or 3 teams left to place.
yep. Okay, so it's quite fluid depending on what we're expecting them to have on defense and what counters or confidence in the counters, I guess.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because here's the
Yep.
thing, like this season, JMK, Cat, and Fives is going to be my counter for Slacker, Dre again.
Yep.
That was 100% for me all last season. If that should fail, I would need something like maybe Ray, or I don't know, attempt something with something else really really strong. So the idea is that I know from my own experience, I'm super confident with JMK. If I lose that for any reason, I'm probably screwed because I'm not really trying to save something else that's so strong that it would save my ass if I failed on with JMK that first time.
Okay.
Like I don't want to rely on needing that. Like it was successful for me. I should have that second powerful team on defense.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you're thinking about your own strength in these counters and deciding, like, do I really need a spare? Because a lot of the times, if you're precise about this, lining it up, you know you're not going to drop these. So realistically, how many spare teams do you need? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
think about
Okay.
and often enough, spare teams at the end of the day for me that are not a plan on offense or defense end up being things like EKM, Gas, sometimes Riva, sometimes even Sith Eternal, things like that. Um, all powerful teams, probably not worth setting on defense for the most part, but it's also not going to break your heart if they don't see use.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So if someone's going into a round or into match and they're crazily outmatched, right? So maybe not GP wise, but like they might not have Ahsoka and Ezra, right? Something like that. How is there a way you can use the scouting to not give you, well, I mean, it is to give you an advantage, right? To give you an understanding that this is how people have beaten teams without the Ahsoka? Or is that sort of too much of a stretch?
I'm a little lost here.
Okay, so someone goes into a GAC match and they haven't got Ahsoka. How do they make up for that fact using scouting? Does it make sense? I don't know.
The question technically makes sense. I'm just trying to interrelate it
Okay.
because I don't necessarily understand the relationship. Like you don't have Ahsoka,
Yes.
which means that most of us are not planning to use Ahsoka on attack. So that means that you are -1 defense team. You would, I guess the solve would be if you're worried about setting too weak of a board, you would look up your opponent's attacks and see where they did fight Ahsoka. Um, what did they use? And how do you want to exploit that information? Like
Okay.
if they used Queen Amidala all last season, a brilliant idea would be, especially if they don't scout, right? Would be to set a few teams up front that Queen Amidala likes to kill. And then you're suggesting to the opponent, yeah, definitely don't use Queen here because I have an Ahsoka in the back. Again, if the guy's not
Yeah.
scouting, he
Yeah.
might overwork himself. He might drop something trying to save Queen for the Ahsoka that is not waiting for him in the back. But you can use what you don't have as a sense of like, oh, well then I have to draw that team otherwise, right? Like if they're always saving Queen, then it's like, what do I want to do with the fact that if he clears my bottom front wall, he'll see that I don't have Ahsoka down anywhere. So how do I make use of the fact that at that point in time he's going to have Queen? And again, that to me that would say set the teams that Queen could kill bottom front, and that if he hasn't used Queen, then he's going to be hard pressed to make an effective clear with it on the remaining teams on your board that are not a good matchup for her.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
So you're luring out the counter to then put something in the back that would be the Queen can't beat, or a team that Queen would beat that they then
Yeah,
can't
a,
beat.
a false draw,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh boy, you're gonna want to keep your queen for my Ahsoka. That's definitely in the back, and then nope, never mind, it's not Ahsoka. In fact, the whole rest of the board is stuff that Queen doesn't like.
Yeah.
Oh, too bad for you.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Is there any general tips, not so much about the Megabot or scouting, any other general tips for people who go up in like they're punching above their weight limit sort of thing? Like, have you got any general tips?
I mean, the general tips will just be about mods and datacrons. General guidance on mods is it doesn't matter what else is going on. Never spend less than the 350 crystal refreshes on mods every day. Generally, you're farming the mod sets that you want out of the challenges. When you have a full inventory of mods for the mod types that you're going for, that's when I'll farm up slicing materials, probably about 200 to 300 of each, so that I have enough to process that big inventory of mods and then go through them. Especially if you're punching up, if you don't have all the latest and greatest teams, what you do have, it better be well tuned, if not over tuned, right? So mods is one thing. Conquest, like right now, it's my preference that when Conquest isn't here, I do 6 refreshes daily on mods. Even at the top of the game, I'm still doing that. And some folks will tell you at a certain point mods have a reduced value. I don't agree. I don't agree. I'll never agree with that. Datacrons allow accounts that are not so developed in mods to be able to compete, but they're still vulnerable. Like, it's not a replacement for mods, it's an augment, it's a substitute. And even then, it's not a permanent substitute. So definitely spend through the 350s on mods every day. When Conquest is not here, do as close as you can to get through 6 mod refreshes every day. When Conquest is here, redirect those 300 crystal refreshes away from mods into Conquest. So
Yeah.
do your 350s and 100s in Conquest every day. And if you're preloading the conquest, like on that last day of the previous conquest, if you filled up your energy to that slightly over 300 that you can do, and then you let the conquest go, when it comes back 2 weeks later, you have that banked energy. Plus, we have like this new calendar with 600
Hmm.
a day. I really
Yep.
strongly recommend that. You are able to get to the end of Sector 4 not later than the second day.
Yep.
And then for the first week of a new Datacron set during Conquest, you're farming basically Sector 1 for Datacrons, and then Sector 4 for the most part for Datacron rolling materials. And you're just rolling crons, right? And if you're sticking that through the 100s every day, by the time that you have two conquest runs per Datacron set. We're in the first conquest right now for the new Datacron set 23. By the time the second run of conquest ends, you can, completely free to play in the manner that I've just described, have a full inventory of Relic 9 Datacrons. That truism held before we had focused Datacrons. So you might lose 5 to 8 of the normal Datacrons in a given set to make sure that you have the focused Datacrons that you want from that same set. Regardless, you can be really flush on Datacrons free to play. Um, so I think that, if you're not going to be spending and having the latest and greatest teams, you have to do everything you can in the background to make what you have the best it can be.
Okay. Um, More general GAC stuff now. So I
Sure.
guess, is there any final wrap ups for like Amiga bot scouting or
No, not
scouting in general,
really.
I guess?
Well, I mean, so scouting is my edge. That's the thing that I think that if somebody were to watch me, that's the thing that I do. I wouldn't say uniquely, but it's the thing that stands out most about the way that I like to play compared to other top players. And yeah, I see unless you fit that description that we talked about early on, where you are just that rock solid about your plan that you feel like you're going to be able to set a strong defense and then be able to punch up into their defense and win out on the banner trade in the end. Good on you, but don't if you've got the time to spare for it, it's worth it to you. Again, I'm not a sports fan, but for anybody who would underestimate the value of scouting in this game, I wonder if they feel the same, you know, if they played football, do they feel the same about not watching game footage? You know?
Hmm.
Show me the coach that's going to say don't watch your games, you know?
Yeah, true.
Uh, so I'm just saying, like, it's not essential to the experience, but why wouldn't you take it? Why, if you've got the time to do it, why
Hmm.
wouldn't you? I definitely support scouting because big results from it. Plus, super satisfying. Like it, most of the time, I'll win, and when I do lose, I can still be satisfied. Knowing how well my plan lined up. And actually, for preparing for the next round, it is really helpful to know when I scouted this guy out and he threw me off. He mixed up a bunch of teams. I know which teams, and I know what he was trying to do, what he was trying to draw out of me by doing that. Or if he said everything according to my plan, and then I had something of mine drop unexpectedly, I won't forget that. That'll be part of my planning for next time because I had something that I thought was precise and then it didn't end up proving out that way. So, like the more you scout, the more tangible feedback you'll be able to get out of your own play and out of your own errors,
Yeah.
I think.
So Dano is in chat saying if you hadn't mentioned it, which you haven't yet, but logging all your scouting too and the results.
Yeah, I mean that's a personal preference. I do keep a spreadsheet where I write down all my opponent's defenses, what I used against it, and I'll comment in the cell if I drop, and I'll say why I dropped. Because yeah, I absolutely do come back to my own spreadsheet and control F for matches across previous seasons to find out what I used.
Yep.
And where I have comments, I will remind myself. Now that I think scouting is definitely something everybody can gain from. Taking notes and everything the way I do, I don't know if that's something for everybody. You could reasonably say that if you're willing to look at your own GG history, you could see where you dropped and remember and say, "Oh yeah, I see what I used. I remember what went wrong there." But quite frankly, I don't try and remember all those little details. I write that stuff down so I don't have to remember.
Yep.
So I dropped. Okay, I know right now why I dropped. I'm going to write that down, and then when I come back to this next season, when I don't remember, I'll remind myself. Also, the other advantage to keeping a live log of your own attacks and stuff like that is right now, when we go into this first week of 3 versus 3, however I perform in round one, I won't have that data from SWGoH until week 2. So when I'm going into round 2 and round 3 of week 1, the only data I've got to go on is my own notes.
Yep.
And that has been helpful many, many times.
Very true.
So
Yep.
again, that's a little more effort, not that much more time. It depends on what it's worth it to you. But yeah,
Especially if
that's
it's
a
like
fair
a
one,
new,
Dan.
like this round or this first week will be new Datacrons as well. So not only are you gonna have new week where you won't have the data, but we haven't even really got data to look back on from last 3v3 because a lot of those Datacrons are gone, and yeah, that makes sense. I can see the benefit for it. Yeah.
Right, and like we were saying, like that scouting report we just looked through for your opponent's last 3 versus 3, surely teams will be changed because the Datacron meta has changed. But even so, the effort isn't wasted because
Yeah.
he's probably going to stick to that same relative level of strength.
Yeah. And he looks very set in his ways on once the teams are set, it'll stay there for the whole. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In some, yeah. Yeah. Some cases he might change, but very rarely.
Mhm.
So if you were to coach someone who's trying to get up the ranks, like Kyber 1, trying to go higher up, obviously to number 2 because you don't want to get them to number 1, but what habits or like focus areas would you start to sort of teach them, I guess, to help them progress?
That's a pretty broad question. I mean, you'd have to look at their account overall, their roster, where they're at right now, what goals they're pursuing. But I mean, if you're looking for broad strokes for somebody to be pushing up, there's no substitute for having resources in the long run. Like what it is that you'll find your ceiling. If you're that guy that's been punching up and you've got all the way up into Kyber 1 and you're advancing in Kyber 1, you will come to that guy. Like you've been, there's 8 GLs or 9 GLs in the game right now, I forget. But whatever number of GLs there are, let's say that you're missing 2 of them, but you've been just chugging along, keeping on climbing, you will find that opponent for whom you will be missing those 2 GLs. You will wish you had them. Right? They're going to tax you. They're going to block you out. They just have more. Whatever you've been using as your competitive edge, whether or not your mods are screaming, whether or not you've got all those datacrons like what we discussed, eventually somebody's going to hit you with more. So the idea is you do need to have focus goals for how you want to grow your account. Most people do. So just as long as you're sticking to a script on that, that's good. Mods, like we said, that's indispensable and it's very often overlooked. Like I can't believe the number of people that express surprise to me when I say it doesn't matter whatever else is happening in the game. Oh, Tass, but I'm just about to lock this character and I want to spend a few more crystals so I can unlock this character. Blah 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 blah. It's like okay, but are you not? If you're not going to spend 350 crystal refreshes on mods, like I would rather take the mods. So there are a number of people that express like surprise, like, wow, you're always doing the 350s. It doesn't matter what. Absolutely. I'm usually doing the 3100s. So
Yeah.
mods, datacrons, like we mentioned, and scouting. Yeah. Focus goals, mods, datacrons, scouting. These are
Okay.
how you would advance in Grand Arena.
Is it kind of a case of there's no use unlocking a character if you haven't got the good mods to put on them?
Well,
Generally?
that really depends on your area of play. Like let's put it like this. If you have the Zetas and Omicrons and whatever available, if you put an Ahsoka with Ezra team down and the mods aren't very good, they're still not gonna beat it with BKM.
Okay.
Like categorically, the mechanics of Ezra are just gonna crush that. It doesn't matter if he goes first, second, third, fifth. So there is something to be said for just having the team, but this is part of you getting into the habit of working and farming mods daily. You're keeping in mind, oh, I'm a week, 2 weeks away from unlocking this new GL. I've got all the other characters for the team. So hopefully all this time I've been thinking about what mods they want, been farming those mods, been equipping those mods. And now that I'm a couple weeks away from unlocking the GL that goes with it, I'm farming the mod sets that I want for that character. And if not having something, prime to equip to them immediately as soon as you unlock them, it's going to be serviceable at the least.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
Yep.
That's what you need is serviceable.
Okay.
Having the tippy top, like 90, whatever, like 99th percentile mods is usually only necessary to block out corner case counters. Like people have their Exile Ezra in excess of 380 speed at the top end of the game just to block out Great Mothers. There's no other reason to have him so fast. No other reason at all. So the line between serviceable and top end is usually only about stopping a couple of other
One
things, which
counter. Yeah.
themselves also require very high commitment from the opponent, right? You need a
Yeah.
lot of
Okay.
commitment into those Great Mothers mods to have that be reliable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thought.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of sort of like datacrons, since they've been in the game, how has that changed anything in terms of your planning or like how you go about GAC? Or is it just sort of an added thing that's come through and you've just
it's just a normal part of the baseline. I mean, they've been around for the game for years now, and quite frankly, we should all be grateful. We should all be grateful to Datacrons. When they were first announced, I was one of the first to say, like, I don't like what this implies. This implies that like a certain GL that right now has 3 or 4 viable counters might only have 1 or 2 during the life of a certain Datacron set. I don't like that noose tightening around me. I don't think that feels good as a player to have less options. But here's the cold hard fact. We owe the long-term future of this game to Datacrons because it solved a design problem that would have killed this game off years ago. There was the problem was is that there's no way for new whales to compete with old whales. New whales cannot readily buy themselves a mod collection that could rival an old whale. There's just nothing they could do to close that gap. Datacrons provide, even if temporarily, enough power to overcome that kind of difference. And you can see players that have significantly less mods than me competing with me, and in some cases I'm losing, and they will have, less mods, less relics, but they're going to have way more Datacrons than me or Datacron rerolls. They're going to have exceptional quality on that, and that levels the playing field.
I didn't even think about the
So
Datacron reroll thing. Because at my level, like, yeah, okay, I'm doing a few rerolls, but it's more to get the levels 3, the level 6 or 9, right? Not to get the 480% defense or something. Is that something you'd obviously see quite a lot, like the rerolls?
yeah,
For
I
that?
mean that's something that a lot of opponents, not I guess, I mean all relative, but there there are opponents that yeah, their strategy is going to be to get like super maximized datacrons, and their mods are still going to be good, right? Certainly serviceable, more than likely in excess of serviceable. But it doesn't have to be hippie top end when you're rolling in a 400% plus defense cron. You can really smooth out a lot of wrinkles with that.
Yeah.
And if you're the type of guy that's going to have, if you've got 15 teams on the board and like 9 of them have 400% defense crons, you can be pretty reasonably assured that that's going to print you some money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. All right. A couple of fun ones to finish. Last two questions, right?
Sure.
What is your most satisfying or memorable GAC win?
Wow, that's a good one. Most satisfying. I would have to say um, one of the most satisfying would have to be the first time I defeated Sasha Aisha. One of my co-hosts on the Plotting and Scheming podcast, he is one of the longest running winners of Grand Arena. This is a guy who's, it took me this long to be rank 1 at the end of a season. He had been doing it for like a year plus. Right? This is a guy. The only reason he isn't at the top right now is because a couple of years back when he was month after month after month riding high at rank 1, just got bored, you know? The god became bored, and so he descended Olympus. He just stopped playing Grand Arena. There were no other dragons to slay. There was nothing left to do, nothing left to prove, and he got bored. And he had been bored for months and was still taking rank 1 out of habit.
Yeah.
And then just got bored enough to quit Grand Arena for like 6 months. And then he came back and then whoosh goes right back up the ranks. And now he's, still a stalwart of the top bracket. You're not really catching him outside of that. So this is all the guys that I have at the top end that I've never beaten. I used to call them, my raid bosses, right? You gotta take down the raid boss.
Yep.
And he was the last. He was the last of the raid bosses. Everyone else I'd managed to defeat once, at least once by then. Other top players like Aesop Rock, Kabuki Warrior, Sir Loki back in the day. Gosh, a whole bunch of other really big names that were real achievements to have won those matches for sure. But time and time again, whenever I would get matched up against Sasha, Sometimes it wouldn't be close and he just trounced me. Other times it would be by pennies and I would still lose. But that first time I won.
Okay.
That one sticks to the ribs. That was a good one.
That probably puts a bit more context into it. So, I listened to the latest plotting and scheming, and Sasha started talking about all the math involved in armor penetration, critical damage, I think it was, and all that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is like, what the fuck? Like, this is like, I can't even understand what he's like trying to, like, these percentages he was throwing out. I'm like, what? How do you, this is like behind the scenes of that top level player, right? And now you mentioned that he was there for so long. It was like, okay, now I'm putting like, 1 and 2 together and going, this makes a lot of
He's
sense.
one of the very best to ever do it. And it's one of those things where you stop and think about that armor penetration point that he was making. And it's kind of intuitive, but you're not usually thinking about it, right? If you go down and look at an individual character and you see their armor pen value and you've got a 400% armor penetration cron, you can multiply that number by 4 and kind of have a sense of what you're dealing with, right?
Yep.
And I mean, if you were looking at a character like Jedi Cal who has less than 100 armor pen, it's obvious thinking that it's going to be a waste to use your big armor penetration cron there, but only if you actually stop to look at the armor pen value, which I think was the biggest thrust of his point. Is it's like, yeah, people don't think about this. They think it's like physical damage attacker. Of course, armor penetration will be helpful, but if you don't actually check the value of their base, then you're not really seeing what you're getting out of the multiplier.
Yes. Yeah. And then he was even talking about like the defense, like how some characters, might get up to like 80%, like if they're an attacker or something like that. So having a lot of defense or the high percentage defense on them versus a tank, obviously it's going to be higher, right? But then when you take off that armor penetration, even at 400% versus 400% defense, the armor penetration's doing like 2% different, not 400%. Yeah.
Right.
And I was
So
like,
that's part of what he was really saying there is that that I think I recall asking him there in the episode. So is your conclusion here that, unless you otherwise see it, like unless you otherwise see them having a strong armor penetration value, most characters are going to get more out of crit damage than armor penetration. And he didn't immediately agree to the point. He wanted to cover it in the idea that it's like, just look at it on a character by character basis and see what they've got.
Yep.
Like look at what they've got. Because if it is there are characters that do have strong base armor penetration numbers, like, I mean, there's many of them, but like Malicos, for example, significant beneficiary of armor penetration. But if he had a much lower value, then he would get a ton out of crit damage instead. So that was his point, is for any of those penetration stats, it would behoove you to look at the character that you're thinking is going to make use of that and see if you're not better off going with crit damage or maybe even offense to get more.
Yeah.
That's the way to evaluate it, character by character.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. All right. Last question. One team you absolutely hate facing, whether you can beat it or not. Just one that you just really don't like facing.
One that I really don't.
And I mean, it could be
like.
Datacron related as well. Like,
Really don't like seeing. Probably like some unexpected Star Killer composition. If it's like EP Star Killer is not really that dangerous. But if it's, I don't know, like you think that this Darth Vader cron that I'm not going to see somebody doing Darth Vader lead Star Killer. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's necessarily going to be dangerous, but It's oftentimes where like Sith Eternal can be successfully drawn out early against what Malgus, Treya, whatever. And then there's this Star Killer thing in the back that doesn't fall easily to General Grievous or something like that. And even if you do save Sith Eternal, it can be one of those situations where they've got a crew there, so you're having to burn Link on a tank instead of linking two attackers, and then you're open to getting blown up, and now you've just lost using Sith Eternal. So you're down a GL on attack. You've just dropped an attack. So you're down a GL and you just lost 20 banners, and you have to still fight the team. And you already used a couple of the good counters for it up front because your opponent's not a dodo and set a reasonable defense. So now what are you going to do? So the unexpected Starkiller team can be a wrinkle, I guess.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't see it going there. I thought it would have been like some weird, obscure Datacron related shenanigans that had like you had one counter for it or something. I don't know, but yeah,
I don't know. Most of the time when the meta reveals something super powerful, you usually just take the right, overpowering answer for it. Like you there's people out there doing Bane Malgus versus Slacker Dre in 3 versus 3 and 5 versus 5, right? Won't see me doing that. Won't see me doing that because I'm not willing to gamble it.
Yeah.
I'm just taking in JMK,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where sure, we could nitpick and look for across time particular datacrons that were annoying, but there was always more or less a precise solution to any of these things.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not they could, cause you pain around that decision. Like that's until we had this Slacker Dre on defense, this was something I was feeling for a while. I don't know about you, but JMK almost felt like a spare to me for a while. Until this Slacker Dre thing came into existence, JMK was like a flex for me, man.
Yes.
I was using it anywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
Underman banners, what trivialized some other strong defense. Didn't matter to me. Didn't feel that he was needed somewhere. Now I need him.
Yeah. He was my safety blanket basically. It's now like it's like here's the Bane. JMK could basically do anything, right? So yeah, and you'd get to the back wall and it'd be like, all right, which one of these is gonna get JMK? It'd be like something really stupid that it's gonna look like crazy in the results, but yeah, it's might as well. Yeah.
Fun question though. I like that.
Yeah. Alrighty. Cool. So that's all of the stuff for the scouting. Is there anything else you think of that we might not have mentioned that's worth mentioning?
Worth mentioning scouting wise.
Or GAC in general that
GAC in general, just watch your content creators for Grand Arena. I am but one of many. And if you're like me, the way I usually consume other people's content for this game is I'm doing chores or something around the house, or I'm doing something else. I'm not sitting there in a dedicated fashion and watching somebody's 1 hour or 2 hour Grand Arena playthrough. I'm just listening as I'm doing other stuff. And it's like, okay, now we're setting up for this. Oh, really? They're going to try that counter. Then I'm going to go look over at the video and watch that fight. And if I can get something out of it, I will. But you've got your own experience to go by. You've got scouting to prepare, and then for everything else, watch other people's playthroughs and glean from that whatever you can.
Yep. I enjoy the midweek GACs because you're often right when I'm having lunch. So it's always like I'm like, oh, well, there's lunch sorted. I get to sit down and watch you for a bit. But yeah,
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, cool. All right. Viewer questions then. There's well, if we're gonna include Womp's piss take at you, we've got 3. But all right. So first question is from Banger112. How would you rank the Zetas for the Dark Side Clone Trooper? So I'm guessing which order or which ones are not needed, sort of thing. And I guess it depends if you're using Tarkin and Lord Vader as well, because the Apo ones are all Lord Vader related, right?
Yes. Yes. Because Lord Vader, Oppo CX2, and then Tarkin DCT Scorch. That's your split for 3 versus 3. So I guess probably full disclosure, whenever these characters come out, I've got the resources to put all their
So
Zetas
do
on and
I.
stuff. So I'm not usually having to make that choice. Um, if I were though, I think you hit the nail on the head. Do you have a full Lord Vader team to use? Do you have Tarkin up to speed? Like, if you have both available, then yeah, you're going to have to make a consideration across those 4 clones. If you don't have Lord Vader, then focus on the Zetas for Scorch and DCT first. And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Scorch, Darkside Clone Trooper, CX2, and then Apo. It'd probably be because Apo has got it's so much tied to Lord Vader, and yeah, that's I
Mhm.
think. But I'm very much the same as you. It's like all the pirates I haven't got. Well, I do have them all relic now, except because
Mhm.
what's his name's 7 stars already. But as soon as they're like I even at 3 stars, they've got everything gone. So I'm not the greatest with that sort of data stuff.
Mhm.
All right. So this one comes from some random guy, the Lost Womp Rat. I don't know whether
Mhm.
you've made. I don't know. Don't
May
know
have
who
heard
he
of
is
him.
actually. Um. So question for Tass. Like fuck me. Like it's all about you. As you are now king of the hill, are you going to hold it through 3v3? And who do you think your biggest threat will be going into 3v3?
Well, am I going to try to hold it? Yeah, because I play every round the same way, man. The way is always the same. So if I can, I will. And as far as my biggest threat, yeah, I'm frequently fighting these guys that have huge rosters, lots of datacrons, and they try to set pretty challenging defenses, and I've been able to win against these opponents. But twice last season, I lost to Herbert. The first one was me botching a fleet fight, if I'm being honest. I probably should have won that one. But the second one, I just straight up lost a Bane versus a Seer matchup. And I think I can do better if I had a second swing at it. But the important thing is that guy was flawless on attack, like 1850 on me, right? That's so fighting an efficiency player of that caliber is very challenging. I think probably for most players, but very much for me. Uh, A, because they're not so frequent at the very top, and B, this guy is going to be one of the very best in that strategy. He's really a tough opponent. And folks like to talk. I say this all the time. Folks like to talk down on people that cheese or something like that. Because part of what made him get that high score on me was that he pulled both Slacker and Lord Vader off of defense. But he knew that if he'd set them, I was going to clear them, and he was right. So I think that was really smart of him. Like rotating them both to offense, he was able to just trivialize a couple of things of mine that I had kind of set up as traps. So, like it never feels good, I guess, to get cheesed, but I'm never going to be the guy out there bad mouthing it because, first of all, if you're going to talk shit about it, you better win, right? Like, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that loses to it. It's like, the things that defeat me are overpowered and broken. That won't be me. But I just got to get better about fighting ultra efficiency.
Oh, I also heard on plotting and scheming. You're now past the stage of erodiums, and you're quite
Yeah,
excited.
it seems to be the case that for however high their rating is for where they're getting bugged up to the top of Kyber 1, whatever that highest number is that they're able to bug up to, right now, though, at least a few of the people in the top bracket are high enough rated such that we're just above them anyway. Like they apparently their rating can only bug so high, and we're just above them. So we're insulated. And that's why I think now for 2 seasons in a row, we've had at least one full season in a row. No Rhodiums in the top bracket. So that is a big deal. Because I mean, if you compare this to like this time last year, you're talking about people like Aesop and Baby Yoda. They'd be like the only two real contenders in the top bracket. Or there would be weeks where it was only one or the other in the top bracket. Like the other one would
Yeah.
get squeezed out by Erodiums into bracket two. So it'd be like Aesop and 7 Erodiums, or Baby and 7 Erodiums.
Yeah, right.
Just ridiculousness of the kind. So yeah, even just 1 or 2 months now being Erodium free in the top bracket, huge quality of life difference.
Yeah. I urge everybody to go and watch that stream and they start talking about it, because you can see Cass's mind clicking over, and then he's just like not smiling, but you see like a little smirk there when he sort of realizes what's being said. And yeah, I found that really funny to watch. Yeah,
For what? For what?
about that you're gonna have proper battles coming up. Like there's no chance of an Erodium.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm here for the sweat. Folks that watch the stream know that I'm here for the challenge. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just I could see it happening, and I was like, that's like baby chuckle. Yeah.
I,
Um,
I I look forward to the opportunity. I
yeah,
really do.
yeah, yeah. So the final question has come from GDJT. So why is Jabba the Bot such a catty bitch? So I may have in our Discord went and created an AI chat body sort of thing that'll sit in our channel, Discord, sorry, and it just randomly replies and stuff. I'm kind of a little bit like, I think it's probably a bit of me that's coming out in the bot, because I had to put all this stuff into it to try and get it to be sort of like human like. So maybe it's just like a typical Aussie, maybe. I don't know, but it has a bit of a clap back every now and every now and then. So yeah. Yeah. So that was all the viewer questions for tonight. Or for this episode, I should say. It's not night for you. Yeah. You got any final thoughts coming into GAC? You say anything you're sort of looking forward to? Anything you're not looking forward to?
I mean, essential datacrons to prepare for week one. Assuming that you're not getting the kicks cron, if you had access to it, maybe you'll find use for pirates this season. Otherwise, I don't know. Night Trooper cron's going to be great with a 400% defense to offense and the cooldown reduction level 3. That's a good one. Get the resistance light side 25% turn meter on level 6. And the level 9, you could do the stick ray if you were going to use it, but probably Rose is really, really strong. Like you can do Finzori Rose. That has been a strong defensive team in metas of the past, and I expect that'll again be the case in 3 versus 3. Who else do we have that's kind of essential? I don't know. I'd have to take a look at my own.
These are look out for my videos.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. You're
related.
gonna want Ninth Sister with the long text Inquisitors and the cooldown reduction level 3. I want to say a Marok level 9, probably cooldown reduction level 3. The level 6, I don't know how much it matters, but the level 9 can be nice for your use with Marok on a Balin squad.
Hmm.
And then yeah,
Have you got to use
for
the Chief Chirper?
not really.
No?
Not really. No.
No random shenanigans with the revive?
Not really. Not planning on it. Not planning on it. I mean, if I see it, I will probably just trounce it with something like Ewoks are I'll be surprised if Ewoks actually end up mattering. Now I pulled up my own
Oh,
Datacrons,
I
though.
was thinking about using it on a different team completely because it doesn't say it needs to be Ewok allies.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. Maybe that has more utility in 5 versus 5. But
Okay.
in 3 versus 3, like you're giving up a third of whatever your team's composition is for this gimmick, right? So how good is this gimmick?
Yeah.
You know? That's the I'm not saying it's necessarily categorically bad. I'm saying that I need to have a case made for it as opposed to just thinking I'll find some great use
Okay.
for it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I
So
guess
as
that's
far
true.
as but as far as other crowns, I'm looking right now is like other level 9s that are great to have for this week. As far as like the normal ones, the Night Trooper, the Night Sister, the Rose are pretty high up on the list. I would say just behind that would be Scavray, probably again with like the 25% turn meter level 3 and probably stacking offense level 6. And then right next to that, I would rank the Marok Kron that I mentioned. I think I went with Long Text Inquisitor 6 on that as well. I did. Yeah.
Okay.
As far as focus data crons, probably Darth Vader is really good. Rolo is decent. Wampa, like in this order, probably Darth Vader or Rolo at the top, then Wampa, then Sortie, something like that.
Yep. Okay.
I think some people have that in a different order for to prioritize, but you judge for yourself. Like the Darth Vader adds new mechanics that I think are interesting, and it's probably going to be significant to the meta. Leia as well, not so much for the higher end part of the Crom, but that level 3 is super interesting. Wampa, the stats on it are just
Hmm.
godlike for Bane. So even if you don't find a usage for Wampa herself, that the stats on that cron are very highly prized. And the stats on the Sortie cron, even if you don't use any of the other effects, are very useful. It's not a bad cron. I just think it's the lowest priority of the 4.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a little bit disappointed they didn't make it so that Wampa could be used with a team with the Omicron sort of situation. Like it's, yeah.
Yeah, like a Fulcrum thing in TW.
Yeah.
But you know what? Fulcrum has friends and is known to work with other Jedi or
Yeah.
rebels or whoever to thwart and defeat the Empire. Wampa doesn't play that shit. Wampa's a solo agent, and she always was. You don't see packs of Wampa out
That's
there. There's
true.
individual Wampa out there doing solo Wampa shit.
Yeah. Isn't it a he? I think it says it in the Datacron,
It's
doesn't it?
on the Cron it says a he,
Yeah.
but canonically it's a
Yeah.
she.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever. The point is though, is that I'm not mad at that. And what somebody I think Solo Base confirmed on my stream the other day that he checked it out in Arena and saw the difference. That Wampa level 9, the wording of it might lead you to believe that the bonus stats and everything for Wampa are only active in TW. That is not the case. That will
Okay.
be active in Grand Arena as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
that's so
Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, anything else? Yeah, prepare datacrons. Those would be the datacrons I think are hot for week 1
Yep.
and the priority for the focus one. So
Okay.
bust out.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on tonight, or this episode. Probably more so just me wanting to learn a lot of shit, but I think other people have also probably taken some information from it. It's probably one you'll have to go and watch back on YouTube or, um, at a later date, which will be up on Wombrat's YouTube.
Yeah,
'Cause a lot of
this is
that
probably
stuff's
one of the very few VODs out there with a pretty full take on my own personal scouting process. So
yeah.
it'd be a good reference for your viewers for sure.
We had a couple people in chat as you were going through saying it was really good, lots of information, and they'd definitely get in, look at AmigaBot and that. So
Sure.
hopefully you get a bit of commission back on that.
Whether or not I still swear by it, whether or not I
Yeah,
ever see a dime, like you could subscribe to me to get it, you could subscribe to him to get it. But if you were spending $5 a month on this game at all, I would definitely, and you care about winning in Grand Arena, definitely swear by Omega Bot Patreon.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, once again, congratulations. Like number one. Like, yeah, it's incredible. And like, yeah, get your
Mhm.
screenshot, put it on the fucking fridge. It's staying there, right? Like it's
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. And I have a channel, you know it, in my
yeah,
patron section called the refrigerator. All my personal achievements, all my attaboys, they go right up there. So that one is there, front and center. Let me tell you.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's the end of a journey. Years I'd been pursuing the rank one, and like I said, in a previous season, I defeated Aesop Rock, who was rank one, but I didn't have rank one going into that match, so I didn't have the screenshot to go with it. Now I have both achievements separately, so maybe I try and get both together in the near future. But
yeah.
the getting these achievements is the start of a new journey. Now I can see, how consistently could I possibly be about earning rank one. We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already going into well trodden road by people like Aesop Rock and Sasha Aisha, who have held streaks of rank one for months and months and months at a time. So I've still things to learn,
You
things
still
to
got
perfect.
the drive to win. You haven't gotten to number one and just that's it sort of thing. Like, yeah,
It's that there still needs to be something for me to pursue. So having earned the rank one screenshot and actually defeated the guy at rank one separately, it'd be cool to do that together.
yeah,
And then how often can I do it? How often a streak? And if I build up a streak, let's say that I actually win 2 seasons in a row or something like that at rank one, and then I lose the next one. Maybe my next goal would be to build up to 3 seasons, something like that. But there's always some new horizon to find. And these years of pursuing rank one, it's been a pleasure the whole time. It's either you win the match or you learn from the match. And as I'm learning, I'm trying not to fail the same way twice. And that's an inevitable recipe for going up. How could you not? How could you not?
I
You
think
stay consistent, you learn from your errors, and you just, stick to the script.
yeah.
Uh, it's been fun, and I look forward to keeping on going.
If I've learned anything or taken away anything, it's that last like you either win or you learn, right? So now I'm gonna start referring to them as I had 3 learning matches this week. I went 3 learnings and no wins.
As long as it's actually learning. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, boy, did that team kick my ass. Yeah, but what did you remod? What did you prepare to not have that shit happen to you next week?
yeah,
That's the interesting part.
yeah.
Because there's plenty of people that know where they lose. Like, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm just going to like rotate or do something a little better. So, okay, well, if you're not going to be specific about what you're going to change, don't be surprised when you don't specifically get the win.
Yeah. Because I was struggling with executor with punishing one.
Mhm.
Perfect banners through, or not banners, but no losses through ground. Got to fleet. Last one's executor, and I dropped the battle, and I'm like, all right. So then, by the third match, I'd actually figured out a way to do it, and so I had one free go at it, or beat it once cleanly. So
Mhm.
thankfully the fleets don't really change. Like they're still the full fleet, right? There's no 3v3, 5v5 sort of thing. So I'll get a chance to keep practicing because it seems quite common on defense where I am. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm working on. But yeah, so yeah, no,
Good, man. That's
mm,
good. Yeah.
yeah,
I, I I have my own list of goals. If I showed you, like, even at the top end of the game, I think a part of what keeps the game interesting for people at the top is you find your own little details to obsess about. I have not less than, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 24 characters favorited just for the purposes of tweaking mods
okay,
or knowing that I need to remod them or flagging them to remind me that I need to farm more mods of their desired set. but there are always things to pursue. So yeah, man. I mean, it's all like this is all pleasure for me. The fighting, the fights, the scouting for it. I enjoy every step of it. So none of it's a labor to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up and let you go and enjoy your day because you've got, what are we, 3 hours in? So you'd be what, 11 o'clock? It's almost time for
Just
lunch.
about 11 a.m. Yeah, it's super late for you, man. Don't you got church in the morning or something to run to?
The way it's going, I'll just like stay up 1 o'clock
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
morning. Yeah.
I'd say so, man.
Yeah.
What is it then? That's got to be what,
One.
2 or 3 a.m.?
Nah, just one. It's not that bad.
Just one. Okay, well that's not too
Nah,
terrible, but
not too bad. All right.
thank you so much for having me.
You
Good
want
be
to
back.
plug your channels and Patreon and all that stuff?
Sure thing. Yeah. If you want to catch me live, I'm at twitch.tv/Tassinix. I also simulcast on my YouTube, Tassinix Gaming. Got a whole bunch of other Swugger related content over there, so check it out if you haven't been there before. I do have a Patreon if you want to support what I'm doing. You get early access at $5 a month to the Plotting and Scheming podcast that's coming out on Fridays for everybody, but patrons get it as early as Tuesday night. If you like those bots that we're talking about, and you want to have an enhanced power for your own scouting game, I do offer bundles for that. I have a $10 bundle where you can choose, Patreon access for me and your choice of either Omega Bot or Hot Utils Patreon, or you can go with $15 a month and have both bots and Patreon access for me all in one subscription. Like I was saying earlier, if you go out and buy those bots separately right now, it's $15 a month for just that. So that's why so many of my patrons very much enjoy that bundle. And yeah, I spend a lot of time. I think as a passionate fan of the game, it's my pleasure to hang out in Discord with my patrons and talk shop about the game for hours. You can ask any of them. I'll do it for hours. And I mean, this is something where a lot of folks are going to want to bill you for hours of their time for, if my time is available and I'm sitting in there with the patrons, it's my pleasure to talk all day about it. So I think that anybody who's really interested in Grand Arena would get a lot out of just hanging out in patron chat with me and the folks talking shop for as little as buying me like a cup of coffee a month is basically what that comes down to.
Yep.
You buy me like $5 a month, a cup of coffee, and you can chill out with us talking shop most of the day, most days, Grand Arena season or not.
I see, like most mornings I'll wake up, see Discord, it's got Womprat's sharing screen. I'm like, oh, okay, where is he? Roll through his Discord. Nah. All right, let's go to Tass's one. Oh, there he is. Like 80 to 90% of the mornings he is in there with you in some regard. And yeah. And I mean, like both Womp and I are patrons as well for you, so I haven't got a use for the
appreciate the hell out of
Hot
both you guys.
Utils one, obviously being support, but
No doubt.
yeah. But yeah, Megabots, and to have all the back access of obviously all the videos and stuff, so that you've got on them. So yeah. But no, yeah.
But yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, happy to be here. It was a pleasure, and thanks for letting me plug my stuff. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so next week, Womprad will be back. Don't know whether we've got any guests or anything sorted out just yet, but yeah, Womp will be back. I'll be back, obviously, and yeah, I don't know what we're doing. GAC first round, so we'll have a bit of something to talk about. So thank you everybody for coming along, and once again, thank you Tass for coming along. And again, congratulations, number one. Just reminding everybody, yeah, just remind them. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. All right, so stop recording, and we'll go and raid Mighty Captain Frost. They're playing Conquest by the look of it.
yeah, man.
All right.
I love